welcome to EGI2 Stream 10. We have a hype train going right now, so let's immediately jump into Robbie's story time. Robbie's story time starts now with EGI2 Stream 10 with a hype train. And the story tonight revolves around what we know and what we don't know. It's a lesson, Allan. I think that most people agree that it's important that lessons and stories are one and the same. Yeah, and that this story is no different. It's a story a little bit about the we were talking about the ocean earlier.
Yes, we
were.
About
the bottom of the ocean.
I remember.
And if you think about it this way, one of the things I was saying was that the ocean is like outer space, but like on planet Earth.
Right.
So if you think about it like that, this is a story.
Robbie,
so
we're already on a hype train level. I think we're already on level 3. I don't know. The show just started, but we're already on level 3. Robbie's going to be telling us a story. He just started for another 4 or 5 more minutes and use the new hype train emojis in the chat. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Allan. And of course, this is a story about a little town at the bottom of the ocean, a town of normal people that lived at the bottom of the ocean way back before we even knew, before submersibles, because you had the cave systems, of course. And I lived in Florida, where there was these incredible cave systems underneath the ground that would sometimes be they would have these these chambers that were underwater, but would have normal air.
This is like an underwater level story?
So you'd go underwater, like a person could dive down into one of these big, deep sinkholes, and they could go down like 50, 60, 80, 100 feet, down into the water. And then they would come up into these caves, and then the cave would have normal air. So they would take, unless they would have to decompress a little bit, otherwise they get the bends, which I've never really understood what the bends are, but they could get them, and they would decompress their breathing apparatuses, and they would sit in the water, and they would wait for the decompression to take place, and then they take off their clothes, and they go and they would sit in the cave for a little while and just breathe like you would normally breathe on dry land, and enjoy, of course, the scenery and the textures of all the walls inside of the cave, limestone caves.
Interesting.
And so this is a story that takes place in a similar cave, but instead of a freshwater sinkhole like the ones in the northern Florida aquifer, this is, of course, at the bottom of the ocean, so much deeper, much harder water. I think most people would agree.
Who's doing this?
People. They're just normal people.
There's the characters of the story.
Yes, but this is but it's also a full town. So it's sort of in the same way you think about a show like what's a show that takes place in a town show, and the show in the town, or the story. The main character is the town.
This town is a character in the story.
So the story of the town is the story, and the story of the town becomes the story of all of us because of the experiences that happened in the town. And the town didn't have a name because back then people didn't speak. We hadn't quite evolved as species to learn how to speak. So most people just sort of spoke by pressing their hands against each other's faces and looking deep into each other's eyes, and stroking their head and maybe like doing interesting taps over their faces. But then one day, a little girl was born, and
This is the character.
And her name was Alistair.
Allan.
Alistair.
Alistair.
And Alistair could speak.
Okay.
Perfect English, oddly enough.
Very interesting.
This is, of course, and that's how we got English, was because
this is the story of where English came from.
No, but this is a story. This is a story. Yes, this is a story of the English language, because throughout history you find that there's people that exist in historical contexts that just kind of know how to speak English.
Yes.
And Alistair was the first one.
Robbie tells a story during hype trains, is what's happening.
And so Alistair was and everybody who lived in the cave was very pale, very, very almost translucent, almost like a bluish white.
That makes sense.
Because they didn't have a lot of access to sun. Sometimes they would see the sun poke in through these there's these weird little kind of tubes, these reflective tubes that would go up to the surface.
This is a good story.
And it would be lined.
Robbie, breaking news, hype train, a new hype train level has been hit. Robbie, this is good news, you should be happy. Hype train. This is a hype train level. I don't know what level we're on. It doesn't say. I think we're on level 4 or 5.
But the point was
level 3. Level 3.
The point that I was going to say was that the hype
4 or 5 more minutes of story.
That the Alistair's families,
level 4.
All the people who lived in the town. She would walk around the town and she would say hi, hello, and people would just kind of grab on her face and
polite,
and like pull on her ears and kind of like and like poke her in the belly. And she was and which was which was commonplace at the time, because everybody had distendedly large bellies because of being underwater.
They had big egg bellies.
Yes, they had big egg bellies from being underwater and always and drinking a lot of salt water. So if you ever go to, say, someplace on the Barrier Islands in North Carolina and Maryland and Virginia, they've got these wild horses.
Yes.
And they've got these big bellies.
Oh yes.
And that's a result. That's similarly that's related to what
I did
I'm
notice
talking
that.
about. So
okay. So this is
you can
historically
consist
accurate.
from saltwater. They were, pretty fit people. They ate a lot of fish and moss and various bacteria that would exist in between. They would like pull up a rock and the rock would break off because the rock was very, very saturated with water. So it was very easy to break the rock, and there would be little kind of like wiggly things, kind of like sea anemones, but for normal people. These are normal people, Al.
Okay.
But they, of course, were very pale, couldn't talk except for the one little girl, Alistair, and she was lonely. And over time, she grew to be a teenager. And as
Robbie,
teenagers,
can I sit here?
No. And as teenagers are wont to do, they say she says to her parents, "I'm ready to go off into the world. I want to get out. I'm tired of living under the sea," because they knew, of course, that there was something above, because that's where the light came from. And when I said like a tube, I mean like a if you can imagine sort of you ever have one of those portable air conditioners with a big long exhaust, like an extended like exhaust tube? It's kind of like foil and wire.
You're sure.
You stick it out your window to make sure all the heat from the portable air conditioner doesn't get into the house. And here's the thing about those portable air conditioners, and I did read up on it, Alan, and this is a true story. They are terribly energy inefficient, because the heat from that exhaust actually radiates into the room with the air conditioner. So the air conditioner's got to work double time to cool down the room, and then to cool down as a result of it being hot outside, but then also has to work double time to cool down the room as a result of there being this hot tube running through it.
What is this part of the story, or is this
tube? I'm saying
telling me you're teaching
similarly
me something?
sized tube. So maybe something if you can imagine.
You're just telling me the
if you can
size of a
imagine,
tube.
like,
Just show us.
Can you see that? So probably about that size. That was a tube that was running from the cave system all the way up to the top level, which of course was the surface of the Earth. And of course, the tube then had all these weird, slimy, reflective things in it. Bats made of kind of like gelatinous bats, and various things that hadn't quite evolved into shapes yet.
1 minute and 40 seconds.
And the lights would bounce back down, and that's how they got their light. So there's a little light, and air obviously came through there. It was like an air pocket. So she says, I'm gonna climb up this slimy tube one day. And she says that to her parents. They don't understand. She says that to the village elders, and they're all old, and because
they don't speak English.
They don't speak any English. They don't speak at all. And because they're so old.
So why is she telling them?
She's telling them that because that's how she expresses herself.
Polite.
She's got polite. If you know how to dance, you dance.
One minute to finish the story.
Lift weights, you lift weights. If you know how to drive a car really fast, you get into a car, you drive from point A to point B, and you try to break the record. And that's what she was doing with the voice that she had.
Robbie.
Okay.
Level 4 complete. The hype train is complete. The story will continue for another 5 or 4 more minutes. If you're just tuning in, Robbie tells a very interesting and unique story during these hype trains. So use your hype train emoji to keep the hype train going.
Of course.
Back to you, Robbie.
So the old people in this town, which had, again, there's no name for this town. We've had a lot of named towns in the Robbie story time. But we have not seen. This is the first time, I think, that we've had a story in the town that doesn't have a name, because nobody in the town spoke English except for the main character, who doesn't get to name the town because she was respectful. She was a respectful young lady.
Her name was Allan?
And her name was Alistair.
Oh, right.
So it's sort of like Alistair, Alistair, is Talistair. What's the phrase that I'm thinking? Alistair was respectful and to her elders, and the elders, of course, because they had lived so long in these caves with all the soggy walls and drinking and all the salt water and eating the worm the plant worms.
Okay, but she's going up a tube. That's
They
all.
the thing you'll find that's interesting. It's not related to the rest of the story, but I think this is an important detail.
But
Which
Robbie,
is that
you only have
spend
3
your whole
minutes and 40
You
seconds.
spend your whole life in the humidity and eating things that don't have shapes. Your bones deteriorate much more quickly. So these old people were just kind of like puddles with faces on them.
They're kind of like jelly people.
No, not jelly people, normal people, but with some of the bones, not all of the bones, having dissolved into a very pliant, not particularly rigid form. Some of the bones were fine. So you would have one of the elders was this feller and who didn't have a name, but you just gotta.
Is he crucial? Is he crucial to the story?
No, but I think the image is important to understand why Alistair
3 more
wanted
minutes. 3
to
more minutes.
escape
And
to a
3 more
different-
minutes.
You think about the Little Mermaid. She was crazy about these walking people, and same thing, same story.
So this is just like you. This is the Little Mermaid. This is Robbie's take on Little Mermaid.
Hans Christian Andersen and all those fellers back then in the 1600s, 1700s that was writing all this stuff down. This is where those stories come from. Okay?
No. Okay.
So know your history. So, and this guy was a big puddle, and his name, and he didn't have a name, but he did have the crown. He did have a crown of just like pieces of seaweed and like a hard piece of metal, because he had just like chipped when he was youngster, he chipped some metal out of a rock and just made that into whipped it up with some plants and got a crown out of it. But the way he looked was basically like one big. If you look down at the ground, you got to imagine you look down at the ground, you see a face, a normal sized face with a fairly normal sized head, but which kind of fans out at the back there, and then that became and then his hands were right up beside the back of the head.
But he's like looking up at you.
So it was almost like a slinky person.
Slinky person.
But with with a perfectly formed rib cage that kind of stuck out and almost like a shelf in front of his chin.
But he doesn't play into the story. He's not relevant to this story.
No, but Alistair takes one look at this guy when she's old enough to understand that ain't what a body's supposed to look like. That she says, I gotta get out of here. I gotta make sure I gotta get some real oxygen in me. Some real hot-blooded animals to eat, and just harden my bones up, make sure I survive this mess, because I don't want to end up a puddle on the floor like all these wackos I've been living with for this whole time.
1 minute and 14 seconds to finish the story. You only need a little bit more hype.
So she says to her parents, I'm done, I'm out of here. Help me make some. But to get through this tube, I gotta get hooks.
1 more minute.
So
1 more minute.
And they all know, because of the man with the rib cage, that there's metal nearby. But to get to the metal, because of some encroachment by waters from the bottom, because at the bottom of the ocean, some of the water's been seeping in, and that water is actually going to eventually swallow the whole town.
Oh my God! Oh, Robbie, you did it! Yay! You did it! You did it! So Robbie is telling an interesting story. It ended the last. He's not getting very far, but he's gonna get far now because.
Well, Alistair is the one who's got to get far. So step one is to get the metal and to make the hooks. So she basically takes a big hammer that has been made out of the bones of a person who had died recently. Because when you die in this town, they just kind of scoot you to the back of the room, and your body kind of dissolves, gets absorbed by the various spongy substances in the back of the room there, and the bones are what remains. So they can take some of the bones and they can make tools, and they can build houses with them out of people. So it's a lot of houses are made with legs and arms and rib cages and spines, and people have little lights made out of tallow. You know what tallow is, of course.
Oh yes, of course.
Of course. So tallow lamps that they burn because some of the oil from a person stays behind after the mud goes away, and she makes, with some of that extra bone that people haven't used to make houses and buildings, she makes herself a pretty significantly strong, kind of like if you ever played Dante's Inferno on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3.
Yes, I did.
Dante's got this big weapon.
Play that.
It's almost like a scythe.
Yes, of course.
And it's made out of bones, and it's a long bladed thing, and he's a reaper. It's kind of a reaper blade, and she makes her own one of those just through sheer ingenuity. She talks to herself. She says, Alistair, I want to make. She says to herself, she's doing
She's
what
hyping
you call.
herself
She's
up.
kind of hyping exactly.
I really
hyping
want
herself
I
up.
really
She's
want her
using-
to get up that tube and get out of this water world because the
So
story
she
is
builds the
interesting.
thing. She cracks the floor of the, and a whole bunch of water rushes in.
Okay, so it's happening.
And before she knows it,
Wow.
she's not only she's like, I ain't getting that metal, no iron for me, no tools. It's just sink or swim, and everybody's getting drowned. Luckily, she's the oldest person. She's the oldest. She was the last child, which I should have mentioned at the top of the story. So there's never been no more children. So everyone's
She's the
adult,
last child.
so that
She's the
the
last
fact that
child.
they're all about to
That
drown
is,
to
that is
death
very interesting.
is not sad. So she starts climbing as fast as she can through the tube. The water's rushing up about her, and then kind of lifting her up. It's a lot of
This is
salt water,
okay.
heavy brine
Interesting.
mixture, very very heavy and hard water. She gets to the top. She gets to the sunlight above.
Climbing,
All of
climbing.
her family is dead, and
Oh
she
my God.
finds herself
Interesting.
just fully, everything she's worn, everything she's known, has been torn from her. She's as naked as a baby on the surface of the earth, and the sun it's a primeval sun. So if you ever see one of those old dinosaur cartoons where the dinosaurs are mean as hell,
Yes.
and the sun is hot and orange and nasty, that's what the kind of situation she's dealt with. So she's not only is she never gonna get back, because as soon as the water gets to the surface of the earth, it freezes immediately.
That's
Not freezes, but hardens in
Interesting.
sunlight.
It's interesting.
And it's terrible red, hot dinosaur sunlight. And she's realizing that she's lived her whole life without any sense of like what it would be like to have air all over your body, in the dark and the dank and the wetness of her home, to not have anything covering your skin at
One more
any
minute.
times.
You need like 2 more points.
Just how it was. It's
1
not-
point. Robbie, you did it. Robbie, I'm
Whoa.
sitting in the chair.
Don't get in the chair, because that's going to be my cousin's chair.
Robbie, you
Cousin's
got the
coming.
hype train.
My cousin's
Right.
coming. I just want to say one thing. We do have it's cousins tonight. My cousin's coming tonight, but she's not here yet. She'll be here any minute.
I wish I was your cousin. Level 6,
Level
complete.
6,
Onward and upward to
And
level 7.
Alistair finds is like the garden. She doesn't realize that this is.
Use the emojis. Use the emojis. Use the hype train
You
emojis.
can use the hype train emojis. All those have been cleared by Twitch for use. We've
Connect all the trains. Connect the trains. Robbie
But
likes
what
trains.
I was trying to say is that this is like, it's a story of the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve find themselves kicked out of the garden, and it's all sand blasted wasteland, and they have to find clothes for the first time. Same thing with Alistair. She's got to figure out how to get clothed. So she goes up to the first.
Describe
person
her body,
she-
though. Describe her body.
Well, I mean, it's very obviously it's very swollen. She's got a lot of big almost like botulism. So you ever
How
see like
old
a
is she?
can of beans that's just been like left in an old house for like too long? That's
Yeah.
kind of like what her skin looks like. Just a lot of weird bumps and just not a particularly good sight. Not if you saw somebody like this, you'd just say to yourself, "Holy crow, get me out of here." So she walks but she finds herself walking around and talking to dinosaurs. And some of the dinosaurs, luckily for enough, there's a velociraptor, not a velociraptor. What's the other one called? Deinonychus. Deinonychus comes up to her and says, she says, "I'm the last of my kind. All my family, my whole town's gone. I look terrible." And the Deinonychus takes one look at her, and she like lifts, does like a weird thing with the Deinonychus leg lifts up, and he's like tapping his noggin there with this little weird hook foot.
Oh, like
And he says, I can see that you have what it takes to be one of the great leaders of the race of man.
So this is interesting. I didn't even know there'd be talking dinosaurs.
That we all know what's coming.
What's coming?
Well, the Deinonychus being somewhat a mistaken of a creature, because we all know about velociraptors. Now, before velociraptors, we used to talk about Deinonychus. And we don't talk about Deinonychus no more.
No.
And then one of the reasons was because they got too smart for their own good, and all of the velociraptors bumped him off.
In the Jurassic Park movies made velociraptors very popular. Because I remember when that movie came out, everyone was talking about velociraptors. And they hadn't been talking about it before that.
So Deinonychus and Alistair says, and she collapses.
Oh my God.
Exhausted, because she's just had the craziest day of her life. She thought she was going to get a nice shiny piece of iron that she was going to use as a kind of
2 more minutes. 2 more minutes to finish the story, Robbie. You're not going to finish this hype train.
To move up to the top.
2 more minutes to finish the story, and it's just getting interesting because a talking dinosaur and I think a race war has been hinted at.
And so she thought she was going to make these like special shoes and claws, like Wolverine's claws, or where she was going to have like 3 claws on each of her feet and 4
Robbie, did you see the
claws
Deadpool
on
trailer?
the hands and kind of like and then she
Wolverine's
crawl
in
up
it.
like a what is it when you press your hands against the thing and you go up, shimmy. She was going to shimmy up with her claws through this gelatin, this old tube of hers.
I thought she was up the tube. What are you
She's
talking about?
She's out of the tube. She's
What,
on.
is there a new? There's a new tube.
She's talking to dinosaur.
But what is this new tube you're describing?
The new tube? No, it's the old tube.
You're just
I'm
backtracking.
saying that's
Robbie,
what
you
she
don't have
thought.
time for this.
She
You only
thought
have
she was
1
gonna
more
be coming up.
1 minute to finish the story. Don't talk about the old tube.
Well, she thought she was going to be this like crazy naked warrior lady.
I see.
And she was going to come out fighting and swinging with violence. And instead, she comes out and she's just swollen.
Robbie,
and
oh my God,
waterlogged.
thank you to Brewer Fanks and all these people who've been giving so much of the capital, their legal tender that they earned, so that Robbie can tell this story. And it is an incredible story. The hype train is continuing. Last minute save. Thank you so much. The hype train continues. 5 or 4 more minutes to finish this incredible
Wait, are we
story.
sure it's still going?
It's still going.
Okay.
Wow, and
Holy moly.
we're already
Okay,
at
so
58%.
We're already at
This
the
is incredible.
And Deinonychus, Mr. Deinonychus, whose name was Elijah, and that'll come back later in the show, I think. Elijah, not necessarily the prophet Elijah, but not necessarily not. If you catch my drift.
I don't.
Okay, so Elijah takes Alistair on his back and says, I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you to town.
So riding a dinosaur is happening?
I'm going to take you to the dinosaur. I'm going to take you to the dinosaur town. It's the last redoubt of talking dinosaurs we're in big trouble because we got too smart and we started having reasonable conversations about when to have children, and as a result our population has declined while the population of gnarly carnage sex-crazy dinosaurs has just bottle rocketed.
Wow.
So, and when I say bottle rocketed, I don't mean just one single bottle rocket flying off into the nowheres and popping.
You mean
I'm
a lot,
talking
like fireworks?
Like thousands of bottle rockets. And then each one of those bottle rockets gets its own set of bottle rockets.
So they really are really beautiful.
Wild stuff is happening here.
And a little context, Alistair, you've mentioned this. She's the only person who can talk in her town. She's the last talking person. So she's going to this talking dinosaur town. So this is interesting.
And
She doesn't know there's anyone to talk to.
And this is the last talking dinosaur.
She's the last of her kind.
So dinosaur, and of course, and Elijah the Deinonychus takes Alistair to the talking dinosaur town. With the
3 more minutes. We're gonna beat our hype train record.
Here's the thing. Oh, I forgot to say this
we're gonna beat the record.
The Deinonychus has a special headset on.
Really?
Yeah. So
you didn't say
that. It's like a wireless communicator that can use to communicate to the guard tower.
So these dinosaurs
live in these
big
towers.
They have technology.
They have crazy stuff. Because in the prehistory times, and this is what we were talking about earlier, in Stream 9, was that in the prehistory times there were civilizations, towns, whole societies before us that were perfectly technologically set up, but just the hubris of some of these civilizations and societies and what have you.
Yes.
That's what did them in the end.
The world building that's happening right now is incredible. We're about to beat the record. We have 2 minutes to beat the record. We only need one more. Robbie, you beat the record.
Okay, so
you beat the record.
You beat the what record?
This is the hype train record. You beat it. This is the most hype train. This is the most hype we've ever had. So this story is going the longest of any of these stories, technically speaking. Although we started late because the hype train started during the soak. We have 5 or 4 more minutes to finish this incredible story with a world building and riding dinosaurs with technology. And we're we're already almost there. So 4 or 5 more minutes to do it. We only need about 20% more hype. Back to you, Robbie.
Alistair collapses on top of Elijah and goes to sleep and goes into the dreamland. And in the dreamland,
What?
she's tall as all hell.
Oh, really?
It's one of those. It's like Gulliver's Travels.
Okay, go
where
off.
She's going off and she's like, she's walking around and like there's all these little people like throwing flowers at her feet and giving her little like
Really?
kind of like giving her little kisses on the tips of her toes.
She's that big.
She's still unbelievably problematic with the waterlogged nature of her body as a result of living so long.
But
in
she's
these
big.
caves.
But she's big, and they do kiss her feet for this.
They do kiss her feet because they're excited. And,
This is
and
a dream?
with every step, this is in the dreamland, and with every step,
Dreamland.
water squeezes out of the bottoms of her feet, fills the fills the fields, the fallow fields. The fields are no longer fallow; they're fecund.
But this isn't relevant to the larger
it's
arc of
definitely
the story.
relevant.
Okay,
But
back to you.
You don't go into the dreamlands if you're not. If
Is it a real place or is it just a dream?
There's two places you go when
Is
you
it
go.
just a dream or is it a real place that has
There's
stakes?
two places you go when you dream. One is a place that nobody wants to hear about and nobody gives a damn.
A regular dream.
That's just a regular dream. But then there's the dreamlands, which is like a cohesive set of like narratives and like people coming together from all these
Robbie, you
different
did
realities.
it! Oh my God, this hype train is crazy tonight, you guys. I don't know what is happening, but this is crazy hype. The hype train continues. The story continues. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Allan. And did you ever play Riffs?
No, yes, of course I did.
So Riffs is, of course, a tabletop role-playing game where they tried to tie all these different threads and different universes together, and that's kind of what the Dreamlands is in this story, in this context, and in other context, in multiple contexts. So try saying that out loud and
Context.
In multiple contexts.
Context.
So Alistair goes out. It goes into Dreamland. Everyone's kissing her feet. Every time she steps, it fills the fields with not only with very fertile water.
Incredible.
So she's like got something. She knows that she's got something. What the thing that she's got going on is that she's got water in her that has minerals that plants love. So plants love these minerals. They need. There's just and so she knows that there's something special about her. That's the result of this dream. And so everyone kisses her feet, and then when she wakes up, she finds herself in a giant dinosaur bed.
Oh wow!
And with Elijah.
What happened?
In the bed.
Wait,
Apparently,
what happened?
Something happened.
What happened, Robbie? I need to know. That's really crucial. I need to know what happened when she was in the dream. Well, how did she end up in the bed with Elijah?
And she's fully back to normal sized person. So she's like in bed with Elijah, the Deinonychus.
The Deinonychus.
She's got the covers on her, so she's not ashamed in the way that Adam and Eve might be. But what she knows is that something happened between when she passed out and when she woke up, and she doesn't have any more extra water in her.
Huh.
And she says to Elijah,
"What happened?
What happened last night?
What happened last night?
Excuse me, check please. What happened last night?"
I don't know.
And Elijah says, "Oh, you don't remember? You went nuts for me. I brought you into town. I took you to the one bar that we have left, because everybody else has started regular kind of like businesses where it's kind of like it's a thinking man's town. So there isn't a lot of tradesmen anymore. Everyone's just trades. When I say men, I mean people.
They went to a bar, and now she wakes up in his bed with no liquid.
Yes. And she says, she's like, this
what is the story,
I'm not happy about this.
2 minutes,
Elijah.
Robbie, you have 2 minutes to finish the story. You're not going to finish the story. You're only at 2% hype. There's no way you're going to beat the record and go all the way to 100% from 2% in 2 minutes. So finish the story, 2 minutes. It's gotten really weird. The story's getting really weird.
And she says, did we make love last night? Did you and me make love? And Deinonychus, Elijah the Deinonychus says,
what is
well,
the story?
Yeah, but I was not the only one.
Robbie.
And you were really mean.
Robbie, what is this story?
And you got into a big fight. And a Diplodocus whacked you with its tail, and that's another dinosaur that we don't talk about no more, Diplodocus. Whacked you so hard you flew out of town, crashed into a side of a mountain.
Oh my God.
And it blasted all the water out of you. And now you got this big wound in your back. And when we sewed you up,
I can't believe this is where the story went.
You got
1 more minute. We're at 30%.
You decided that you needed to. You were so afraid of death because of the giant wound from all the water because it was like popping a balloon.
Oh my God.
So it was a big hole in your back.
Don't give any more money to this. Don't give any more money to this because this story is taking a turn that I don't like.
I mean, no one likes the turn.
All-time record shattered. I think. What does that mean?
I see. There was a record that we broke. But okay,
Thank you for giving so many bits and bytes, but please stop giving money to this story. 15 seconds.
But when you got better, when the wound got sewed up, and the doctors took care of you,
7.
You decided
6, 5.
You've been
4, 3,
that you
2,
loved us all
record
so
shattered.
much that you wanted to. It was kind of like a ritual that you wanted to perform for the whole town.
That's the end of the hype train. This is the end of Robbie. You're just gonna give us a little moral lesson here.
Just one last
just
thing.
One
I'll
quick
say
thing.
about that, which was and Alistair says to Elijah, "Wait a minute. How long ago was this?" And he says 2 weeks.
Oh my God! But don't keep telling the story,
It was
Robbie. The
2
hype train
weeks.
is over. Level 10.
She was. That was 2 weeks. So the time that she was having the dream.
Stop telling the story.
Okay, I just want to say one last thing. I just want to point out one last thing for everybody.
Just say a broad strokes moral, no more plot points, because that's not how it works.
You talk about the dinosaurs. Well, that wasn't exactly how I had planned on starting the show. Welcome to EGI2 Stream 10. It's a difficult night for us because I think that.
Thank you to everyone who gave.
First of all, thanks for everybody who kept the hype train going and kept the story of Alistair and Elijah going, because the many adventures that we'll hopefully learn about over the course of the evening that could come back at some point. But we won't pressure anybody to do something like that again.
But you can use your Amazon Prime membership if you have it. You get a free sub to EGI2, and that will go to the story.
There's 2 things I'd like to address here tonight. The first thing is that last week, that was EGI2 Stream 9, was a bit out of control. I think that we ended up the show with a lot of. I just want to say there was a lot of logs. We talked about logs in the lake. I think that we ended up on last Monday with a lot of logs in our lake, and we've spent the week intervening and figuring out how we can sort of put dams on the various estuaries that come into the lake, which of course is the streams of information and conversation that feeds into the lake, from which we all drink the water.
What are you talking about?
And so I want to just say that the lake is clean now. We're doing a full reset. We're not gonna have some sort of sex-crazed wild night with a bunch of people are touching each other and doing stretches and the skin. We're not gonna have that. That version of EGI2 doesn't exist. And whatever EGI2 Stream 9, whatever mistakes we may have made in the past with that kind of a business, we're not in that business.
Robbie, Twitch changed its policy on logs in the lake, so we're allowed to say sex stuff and show weird stuff.
I'm not. Look,
that's the policy.
I'm saying we're not. The story of Alistair and Elijah does have some adult content, some adult themes in it, but so does the Bible, and I don't think we consider that to be. I wouldn't consider the Bible to be a log in my lake.
No, Robbie, of course not. But if anyone is on Twitch, just click on Just Chatting and scroll through it. It's like all logs. It's like a whole website of just logs. So I don't think we're doing anything weird or wrong.
We're not doing
by just having a little spicing up the stream, but juicing the goose a little.
We're just doing. It's Cousins Night. We're having a family-friendly Cousins Night. The family's coming. Cousin's gonna be here any minute now. I'm not sure where she is, but she'll be sitting right here beside me. We'll be talking about video game news and reviews and culture and getting the word on the street and checking in on the chat and the phone calls and doing a regular, non-horny version of EGI2 that is the kind of thing.
But
that
Robbie,
I think
your
people
story
are-
was
people
insane. It had like someone having.
It
There's a whole sex scene where someone whipped someone across like a mountain. It was.
First of all, no.
And it was
First of
problematic.
all,
Your story was
weren't no-
problematic. She woke up like that.
Alan, there weren't no sex scenes. People made love in it, and that's true.
How is Robbie? Don't call it making love if the character doesn't even know that it happened or remember it.
Obviously, there was a person living inside of that character that knew exactly what was happening and decided to take it to the furthest possible limits of experience.
Robbie, if
In
that's
the
what
same
happened, I
way
missed
that
it
there
because
was
the
a
way
person-
I heard it, she went to a dream world, woke up, and some crazy thing happened. It was a problematic story. It was
Look,
not okay.
Anybody who's read, anybody who knows about, okay, so there's a play, so this is a, I mean, I don't want to get too far into this because we do have to talk about Slave Zero X at some point, but I do want to say that we go someplace when we dream, right?
Yes, of course.
So we go someplace. Either it's a place that nobody nobody feels like they want to hear about, nobody wants to know about, and if you try to tell them about that particular place, people ain't interested. But then there's the dreamlands where you go, and everybody that you know is already there, and it's like a perfectly lucid situation, and that means that you are there. That means that you left.
I understand.
That means that your mind is there, and you're just having a regular day in the dreamlands.
But when did the dinosaur sex happen? Because she woke up to it.
Well, you couldn't get to it because the hype train ended. But the fact of the matter is that when you go to the dreamlands, you leave your body behind.
So who's in the body? This is a very problematic dream story. I don't think you should tell these kinds of stories. Let's just
we've
do
all
video
read The
games.
Shadow Out of Time, right? We all know the general. We know about the Shadow Out of Time. We know about the different planets, and we know about the old ones and the elder gods thing, right? We can all agree that that's settled history. So let's just leave it at that. I'm just saying that there's a difference between just grabbing everybody you see and pulling them into you, like you're some kind of like you're a false prophet, pulling people into the pit of hell of sin, and just nasty, people rolling all over each other as they topple down into inescapable darkness. There's a difference between that and a very special, I don't want to say an angel, but a seraphic type of a being coming into your body when you're in the dreamlands, in whatever form that environment makes you to be.
I don't know who in the story was seraphic, but
Well,
it's
we
a
didn't get
confusing
there
story.
yet.
Okay, so if there's going to be stuff like that in the story, just tell people like you're going to have to give extra money to hear why this is not a problematic story.
I just want to say that story is not dirty in the way that Ben and Cricket are dirty, and the way that they inspire a type of a slimy, filthy type of lifestyle, especially in you, and also in the people that watch the show. People come to EGI2 because it's clean, because we have a moral foundation that is levels and levels above the mire of filth that most others in the outside of this are operating in. You got to just turn on TV once a day to see it. These people are absolutely out of their minds. I mean, I see that it's just this cream on this and plug that with this, and who's been taking pictures of somebody else's whatever you want to call it. It's 2024, and we still haven't got past some of the basic roadblocks of our biology, and I think I'm sick of hearing about those roadblocks because they're not clean, hard concrete roadblocks. They are pimply, soft, weird, scary, filled with eyeballs and little grubby hands.
Robbie, you've inspired me to change my ways to be clean of heart, and honor and true, and be good, and take the high road. Because like I said, you go on Twitch and you scroll through and it's all logs. So I'll take the high road. I'll go in the train. I'll go in the train with Robbie above the log lake to the clean lake. And I've been inspired by your words. I do think you have that power to inspire.
It's like the Scottish hymnal, Loch Lomond. You know it?
Yes, I do.
You take the high road and I'll take the low, and I'll be in Scotland before you. What's the next? And I'll be in Scotland before you.
What was the next part? I
You
do know
take
it.
the high
You take the high
and
road, I'll take the low road.
And I'll be in Scotland before you. And me and my
friend?
True love.
Oh,
True love.
duh. I knew that.
Won't ever meet again.
Won't ever meet again.
On the bonnie.
And it goes good with this backing track. You take
Bonnie. There's something Bonnie about
the
it.
Bonnie.
On the Bonnie.
And where's your cousin?
I don't know. Could be any second now. Cousin could be strolling. You take the high road and I'll take the low, and I'll be in Scotland before you. Me and my true love never meet again. On the Bonnie Banks.
Bonnie Banks.
Bonnie Banks is
Oh,
Loch Lomond.
Yeah, Bonnie Banks. That's what it was on my tongue.
Because it's a loch, which is another word for a lake.
Oh, I know locks.
So if you're just joining us, this is EGI2's Stream 10. We do have a wonderful show for you tonight. We've got news and reports, live reports of the funny video game news. We've got funny video game news,
Oh,
Allan.
good. This is going to be so funny.
And this is a special funny video game news because of this following fact, which is that over the weekend, I became aware of the existence of something called Slave Zero X.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
So Slave Zero X is coming out in a couple weeks, and I was not aware that Slave Zero X, Allan. I think you'll find this is pretty. Do we have a trailer for Slave Zero X? I think it should be the first label.
You gotta be
trailer
careful
for
with
Slave
those
Zero,
trailers.
Slave Zero.
Sometimes
X?
it's the wrong file. Make sure it's the right file.
Make sure it's the right one. It should have letter 1.
Is that? Oh, is this it? Robbie, is this what you meant to show?
Mm-hmm. This is Slave Zero X. Wait, are our mics on? Okay, so yeah, this is a trailer from the.
This looks like just a video game. Is this just like a normal game?
Give it a sec. Oh, see that?
What is it? Did you mean to show this?
Yeah.
Like a train. Whoa.
So that's.
Is that part of it?
That was the trailer. That's the trailer.
Oh yeah,
for Slave Zero X.
X.
So Slave Zero X is
This looks like a game.
prequel to I would say, relatively obscure Dreamcast and PC third-person shooter, sort of like an action run-and-gun 3D game. Similar to if you ever played
Crabmaster Zach says it looks mid.
So Crabmaster, and here's what I'll say about that is that Slave Zero is I would say famously the original Slave Zero that was on the Dreamcast and PC is, I think most people consider it a fairly mid game. And so the fact when I realized that this Slave Zero X was coming out, first I saw the name and I said, and I pulled my neck out.
You did a double take.
I did a double take, which is another way of saying that. And the double take was because I said to myself, Slave Zero X, that sounds like that old Dreamcast and PC game that was, like the person in the chat said, mid. Any crossover ties to Enemy Zero from Ocelot? Absolutely not. But that would be what they say, faboo. So, because I thought to myself that this game can't be getting a sequel because nobody really liked the first game to begin with.
I understand.
And then I did a little bit of reading and I realized it's a prequel to the game. And then I saw that trailer that we just watched a second ago.
Yes.
And I said to myself, that doesn't look a damn thing like the original Slave Zero.
When did this?
So how is this related? Not only is it much more colorful, much different art style, but it's also, this is like a 2.5D run, like action platformer looking thing. Whereas the last game was James, you got the trailer 2 to show us for a second there? Take a look at this, Alan. Tell me what you think about this, because this is never been seen before.
I'm looking. Wait, so this is the original Slave Zero?
This is the original Slave Zero.
It already looks quite different. Just the logo design.
So look at that thing.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Unbelievably different. And it, very angular, very, lots of, there's a lot of playing around with scale. So sometimes you're out there in the cities there, you see little cars, and you can pick up the cars, and you can get the ecstasy engine, of course. The ecstasy engine is the custom engine that they built for Slave Zero. It looks
totally different.
And apparently they built the engine before the game. So it's not they were like, oh, I'm going to make Slave Zero, we got to build an engine for it. They were like, engine first, then game.
Got it. Different.
But you can pick up the people, you can throw them at the buildings. There's machine guns, there's larger robots, there's various elements that you can interact with in these city levels. Because you're a big robot, you can pick things up, and then you see a little bit of the picking up kind of.
What is that?
There. All these little characters are just getting absolutely just annihilated.
Those are the enemies, those little guys?
Sometimes they're enemies, and sometimes they're just normal people that just got in between Slave Zero and the other. And I mean, it takes us. Here, go, James. Can you name my backpack there?
What do you have? What do you have there?
All right. So, is it still going? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's, you can see all the differences between that and the first trailer.
Without a doubt.
Slave Zero is a third-person run-and-gun game coming out in the spring of 1999, and Slave Zero X is a 2.5D style action platformer along the lines of, say, Shinobi, and it looks completely different. And I'm going to read you 2 different plot lines here, and you tell me, Alan, you listen, you tell me which of these is Slave Zero and which is Slave Zero X.
I'll try my best. This is like a little game we're playing.
Taking place 500 years in the future, the game tells the story of Liu Chen, the sinister world overlord? Can't be right.
You want me to guess?
More commonly known as the Sovkhan. Liu Chen, known as the Sovkhan, who rules the Earth from a massive complex called Megacity S19. The only resistance to the Sovkhan is from an ancient order of warriors known as the Guardians. The Sovkhan's army is nearly invincible as it is, and it is growing by the day. His most powerful units being 60-foot tall humanoid robots.
That'd be the first game.
Called slaves. The slaves themselves are grown from a combination of artificially created cybernetic embryos and a mysterious compound called NTR95879, or dark matter, as referred to by the Guardians. Now, the Guardians' only hope of overthrowing the Sovkhan and his cybernetic army lies in a single
what's happening
captured
to your hand?
slave unit.
Is your hand hurt?
Yes. My hand was cramping up because I was trying to do that. If in Slave Zero, the original Slave Zero, there was an idling animation that the hands would do like this.
Did you keep doing that?
So I was kind of doing that off on the side on my own time, just to kind of keep the concentration going, and then my hand cramped. The game follows especially Guardian Agent, which will have the mind of a specially trained Guardian Agent permanently downloaded into it. The game follows
Dog Teeth says that Robbie's fingers are really red.
Zero as he wages war against the Sovkhan's forces through every part of Megacity S19. Now, listen
you want
to
me
this
to guess?
From the top of Megacity S19, the Sovereign Khan rules with fists of iron and flesh. Beneath the city's
ding ding, I'm buzzing in. I have a guess.
The thing. Well, let me finish. Good lord. The vengeful warrior embarks on a journey to murder him. 4 years. Well, no,
It was Slave Zero, the first one.
Slave Zero.
Slave Zero
brings new life to a world
So
where
I was right. Was I right, Robbie? Was I right?
Known as slaves are primed to become.
Slave Zero.
Which one is which?
The one you're reading is the description of Slave Zero, not Slave Zero X.
No, the first one. So that's where you're wrong. See, this is where things get confusing because the first one I read was Slave Zero. The second one is Slave Zero X.
When did you start reading the second one? Because I
said it.
I thought it was all one thing that you were doing.
No.
I don't
Slave
know.
Zero. I've read one paragraph, and then when that paragraph was
So I was
paragraph.
right. You just did it in a confusing way. I think.
So
sound off in the chat if I was
Zero,
right.
The second one is Slave Zero X.
That's what I was saying.
But you'll see that essentially these are fairly interchangeable plot lines. But if you look at those trailers that we watched a second ago, they look like completely different franchises.
Robbie, that's not that weird.
So the funny video game news.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Funny video game. No, go back to the front.
That's not funny. That just is normal. It's just like a different style of the same kind of plot or universe.
So prepare yourself. Prepare your funny bone. You are now entering the world of funny video game news.
Oh no, Robbie.
Slave Zero X.
You gotta stop doing these inventing video game news. I can't. My funny bone is hurting. My belly laughs.
Slave Zero X is in the news because of.
Oh my God. Mexico, Claudia.
Oh yeah. Slave Zero X is in the funny video game news because Mexican presidential candidate of the Morena Party, Claudia Sheinbaum.
Oh yeah.
Has said a spiritual successor to both an obscure Dreamcast shooter and Strider 2.
She said that.
Color me with excitement for Slave Zero X.
Why?
And you can imagine that when people are finding out about Slave Zero X, they're going through the same thought processes that I'm going on. It's like, what's the plot of Slave Zero X? Where's the room for expansion on this thing?
This is funny.
How do we go from Slave Zero to Slave Zero X?
This is really
or
funny.
back from, or rather, how do we get back to Slave Zero X from Slave Zero?
Yes.
And who else could be thinking about this but the woman who is in the pole position at this moment to become the next president of Mexico, because the Morena Party.
Wouldn't that be nice?
This is this is breaking news, but I think this is the first time in the current since the beginning of the democratic state of Mexico that a party will have won twice in a row, because it used to be PRI and PAN.
Right.
Those were the two conservative, left-wing and right-wing parties. And
Robbie, Robbie, your cousin is here.
Give me 1 second.
Is this your cousin?
My cousin's here. Cousin's gonna sit down in just a second.
I want to meet your cousin.
Get this out here. Because Claudia Sheinbaum
I want to meet the cousin.
Is doing so well in the polls.
My name is Allan. It's so nice to meet you. It's really nice to meet you. Oh, look, I got your purse on my. Oh, can you take that? Okay. Well, you have such a nice cousin. Here's the microphone.
Here's the microphone.
You can sit right there. Robbie won't let me sit there.
So what I was saying about Slave Zero and Slave Zero X is that so this is the funny video game.
You're talking to Mike.
First,
Talking to Mike.
Oh, I
yeah,
gotta talk here.
yeah. This is my cousin.
Fuzzy.
This is my cousin Kyle, Kyle Mazzono. And Kyle, if you as you recall, what happened was that we all know that there's those 23andMe style programs out there,
Yes.
right? And so I
Yes.
didn't want to spend money on one,
Yes.
so I got the one that is like you get from like a dollar store in like
Okay.
MacArthur Park, and
What is
I
it?
found.
Oh, what's it called?
Well, it turns out it's not a test. It's like a little thumb drive with like a bunch of names on it, and it says it says at the top of the list, we're all cousins in one way or the other. So pick one, and you were the one who lived closest to me. So I says, I called up. I said I picked Kyle's name off the list, and then her phone number was on it. Your phone number was on the list, and I just called you up and I says, I'm your cousin,
Uh-huh.
and I've got a talk show. Would you like to come and talk to me tonight?
Yes. I drove very far for this.
And so it's exciting to me because most of my cousins are German.
Yeah, I actually could see the resemblance. We have both pretty big faces.
And I think that we're both, and I think,
Our heads are the same size.
and I think that we're both.
Sound off in the chat if you can hear cousin Kyle.
We want to make sure that
Can you hear me?
that the resemblance is clear, that the mics are that the levels are correct. We're right in the middle of the funny video game news. We'll be getting Kyle's thoughts because I do think that since Kyle and I are related, I do believe that the type of humor that we like will be somewhat streamlined between our various extended families, and also that you will appreciate some of the work that I've put into making the funny video game news for EGI2 Stream 10. So just in breaking news. Kyle Mazzono, cousin of Robbie Rackleff, Cuzzy Mazzono.
I'm your cousin.
Robbie, it is so cool you have a cousin, and it is
I'm
so
very
nice
exci-
to
and
meet
Allan,
you to the
where's
cousin.
your-
Stop looking
Allan-
at my bag.
And Allan, where's your cousin?
My
Cousin's night.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So it is Cousin's Night if you're just tuning in, and sound off in the chat if you are a cousin or if you're a first-time cousin watching for the first time. My cousin sadly did pass on when I was quite young. I do love my cousin. I think about my cousin a lot. It's kind of an interesting story if you do want to hear it.
I would like to hear it.
I don't know if we have time. We do have to get back to Claudia Scheinbaum and explaining how that joke works.
I can tell it was just an icy day. It was just a snowy, icy day. We're from upstate New York. I was very close with my cousin. He was a gamer, like you, Robbie, and he wanted to go get Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver. He wanted to go get a copy of Soul Reaver.
Wait, but you said Riven?
No, I got confused.
Do you want to play Riven?
I was playing. I like
Riven.
I love Riven and the Myst games, and I wanted to play. If he wanted to play Soul Reaver, we were getting into
You
a
love
fight about.
clicking around on things. That's one of the things I've noticed about this is your first time. Allan is of course associate of the show.
I'm an employee of the show. He doesn't pay me.
He's a special correspondent. He stays on the street, and he gets in. He understands the people.
Yes.
See, it's my job.
Didn't you say that if I came on the show that I could? You said if I came on the show that I could do my own thing, and that's why I came here. So when am I going to get to do what I want?
What do you want to do? Well, here's the thing. Okay, so it's a talk show.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do, and we have different segments. So you missed several. First we had story time, and that takes about 20 minutes. And then we do a check-in where I had to explain why, how I was disappointed that everyone was being too horny on the last show, and I was disappointed in that. And I used I referred to the elements of problematic behaviors in that show, which was EGI2 Stream 9.
I don't know if I want to know, but how are you being horny?
Allan was it was.
Can you
Allan
talking to
was
this one
doing
and see if this
something,
works?
and
Try
he
them
was,
both.
How are they being horny?
I can explain. I had a sexual candle holder which depicted the sexual act.
Yes.
Is an art object of powerful sexual energy.
Yes.
That I make, and as a reward for subscribing to the show, we
looks
gave.
like that one does work.
This one does work.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a reward.
How do you know?
the chat.
Okay.
We gave one away, and I also showed some imagery of Robbie. I don't know if we still have that. I showed some pretty erotic imagery of Robbie that my computer made kind of by accident, but it was like a happy accident. But Robbie didn't like it. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Allan, and back to you, Kyle.
Yes.
For joining us here in the studio
and it
tonight.
is so nice to meet you.
To be
so good to be
part
here,
to find out that you have a cousin that lives so close, that lives almost within spitting distance, I think is the word that they use sometimes. Because we don't strike. We're careful. We use soft methods of touch when we communicate. I wouldn't say spitting, pushing.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I can read. What I'm saying is that when I realized that Kyle was my cousin and lived so close by, that I could reach out and.
What?
But not obviously.
What?
Hold on. Not just a friendly, familial response to finding out that there's loved ones nearby. But the problem is that when Allan was being rubbed and touched a lot in a way that made me uncomfortable, and I think made most of the people who were watching the show uncomfortable last week, because Ben and Cricket came in, and Ben and Cricket are two friends of mine who have become, as they've gotten older, have become increasingly sexualized.
And one of them touched me. Ben touched me.
And they wanted to
He gave
touch
me a free
Allan.
massage, and it did feel very good, and it helped me quite a bit.
And they wanted to touch Allan, and they wouldn't stop touching Allan. And then Cricket was over here, and Cricket is a person who sometimes presents who presents in different ways. But in this case, Cricket was presenting as someone who was just terribly horny, and really distracted everything. I didn't even have my headlamp on. And it was just a troubled. I came away thinking that the lake from which we all drank was filled with logs.
Robbie calls it logs. So if Robbie talks about logs, that's what he's talking about. Sex stuff. He's calling them like log. I think he's talking about.
It's
you're
not
talking
just
about like
sex,
shit.
It's not just sex logs.
So
logs in the lake.
So there was too much log. There was too. We left.
What?
The lake is usually clean and clear and pure.
Yes.
And when we left on stream, stream 9, Allan was practically standing in a puddle of his own moisture. If you can hear what I'm saying.
But how does the log come in?
The logs
they're
are dirty up the
because
lake.
they're dirty. Like dirty stuff is like law. I think he's talking about shit, like poop.
No.
Like
Don't use
shit,
the brown word on the show. We don't use the brown word.
What?
That's a log.
I'm just trying to clarify for your cousin. I just met your cousin, and I can tell she's confused because it's like there's a lot of lore to the show that people don't know.
So, Kyle, you're just in time for funny video game news, in which funny news in which newsmakers of our current epoch.
What does
epoch
mean?
Epoch is a period of time. So it's the current epoch that we're in. There are certain people who are newsmakers, and the way that funny video game news works is this.
Don't you think we should have a podcast?
What?
I think we should have a podcast.
I think this is a
podcast?
podcast.
This is kind of like a podcast.
Okay, listen.
Yes.
The funny video way that funny
I don't think you need to explain it. Just get into it.
Funny video games news is that we have one.
Just do it. It's funny.
Okay, so funny video game news. We're going to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
So Slave 0X, which is we're first of all, yes. Thank you, James. Go back to the title card. This is how we let people know that we're about to do funny video games.
Prepare your funny bone.
We put this slide up on the screen there, and it says prepare your funny bone. You're now entering the world of funny video games.
Oh my God, Robbie.
And then I hit the slide forward button, and I say Slave 0X is in the funny video game news. Or sometimes I just say the news, but sometimes I say funny video game news. I think most people, by the time that they see the first slide there, know that this is funny video game news.
See how the chat's all laughing?
You don't necessarily need to say it, but sometimes it's good to say it just in case people are coming in late, like you were.
Kyle, look at the chat. They're all laughing because they know how funny this is.
Exactly. See, there's loud kiki ha ha, not again. They say, and they know because they're tickled.
Try not to
so
laugh.
Slave 0X, and I won't go through the whole, but we showed a trailer for Slave 0X, which is in the funny video game news, and that is a 2.5D run slash 'em up, run and jump action game in the vein of Shinobi.
Your cousin likes it. Your cousin's laughing.
Exactly. So this is why it's funny video game news. But it's a prequel of a game that looked nothing like it called Slave Zero, which came out in 1999.
Got it.
But this is coming out, but Slave Zero X is coming out in 2 weeks, and it's in the funny video game news because Mexican presidential candidate Claudia Sheinbaum, who is currently the front runner and the favorite to become the
This is funny.
leader of Mexico, and one of the first times that the Mexican electorate will elect a president from the same party since the return. Since I don't want to say the return to democracy but I do believe when they liberalized their democracy, they came out of the PRI one-party rule era in the 1990s. They were switching back between the PRI and the PAN parties, who again represent the right and the left-hand side of their politics.
Joe Botnick says ROFL, roll on the floor laughing. It's so funny.
So Claudia Sheinbaum is from the same party, Morena.
Right.
And I looked out and I says to myself, this is not this.
Just read the joke.
This is I just want to point this out. I looked up. I says because I took Spanish in high school and I said Morena. Isn't that have something to do with brown hair?
Who's Morena?
What are you talking about?
I think Morena might be a word for brown-haired girl in Spanish.
And that's the brown-haired girl party.
So this apparently,
my mom is Spanish, and her name is Claudia, and she does have brown hair.
So if this is this is the leading political party in Mexico. They hold the presidency currently. Their current president, which of course is
Morena.
No, Morena is the name of the party. The current president of Mexico.
You're asking Kyle.
Is this the
No, I'm asking Allan.
Kyle now. We'll give Kyle. I do know it.
Reporter.
I do know it, but let's give Kyle a chance to answer. Your cousin is a guest. The current president of Mexico is
Morena?
No, Morena.
That's the party. It means brown hair.
Morena is the name of the political party.
Can I do another guess?
But there's a similarity. But there's a similar. We're not talking about the logs. I'm done talking about the logs.
That's
okay.
Poo-poo.
That's right.
Morena, the current president of Mexico, and Claudia here were both members of the same party and were both mayors of Mexico City, which in the Mexican governance structure is kind of like being a governor of a full state.
This isn't the funny part. This isn't the funny joke part. This is just context.
Still believe it's the second most densely populated city on the planet to this day.
Absolutely. Tell the joke.
She says.
Okay, this is her.
So Claudia Sheinbaum, the mayor of Mexico,
here it comes.
who is in pole position,
shit.
who's in pole position to become the next president of Mexico, replacing the current president.
Yeah.
I already said it.
The current president, she says, a spiritual successor to both an obscure PC/Dreamcast shooter and Strider 2, which is of course the 2.5D sequel to Strider 2. Strider is arcade Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, run, jump, and slash, and is
I just want to get
a classic Strider game. No one else is talking about this classic Strider formula that was then given the 2.5D treatment.
Do the rest of the joke because this is going long.
Do you guys always use that stick?
This is a stick for when Robbie goes long.
Color me excited for Color me X with excitement for Slave Zero X.
Oh my God!
And
you get it?
And that's funny. Video.
That's so funny. Oh, and I have a little thing here that I can show you. It's a little box that Robbie gave me as payment, and there's a button on the box, and there's like a laugh sound effect. So sometimes if the joke is really funny, I'll press that to indicate how funny it was. So that was a pretty funny joke. I'd like to learn more about your cousin.
I just swallowed some gum.
I just want to get through a couple more things with the funny video game news because Slave Zero X is still in the funny video game news because not only Claudia Morena but also current presidential candidate Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yes, of course.
Is so excited about Slave Zero X that he says, "Send me a review key tonight."
That is good. I like that one because it's a little shorter, simpler. I think more people know about him.
He's on American televition. He's had
famous,
the Super Bowl ad. Everyone's just been bowled over.
He had a Super Bowl ad?
He's
a famous family, the Kennedys.
Oh, he's part of the Kennedys?
Yes. He's like the cousin. Robbie's JFK? Robbie's JFK and Kyle, because you're the cousin, you're like RFK, you're related.
Well, no, the cousin was.
Who's RFK?
No,
RFK Jr.
The cousin was.
Robert Kennedy, the guy who showed the picture.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's
Do you watch the
wife.
news? That him.
Maria
Wait,
Kondo.
that's Robert.
That's-
That's Robert Kennedy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get it.
Okay.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it.
Yeah,
Alright.
you get it.
And that's,
That's
so,
very
so
funny.
that's funny video. Game.
Oh, and now I'll hit the
Understand
button.
now because everyone's talking. So because Slave Zero X has made such an impact that
Oh,
not only
careful. What
not
you got
only is one of the man who's in third place in the presidential polls, but so is the leader of the new Democrat Party in Canada, Jagmeet Singh.
He's okay.
Who says a bold new direction for a forgotten gem? So
What's he
obviously,
talking
I'll
about?
agree. We can agree with.
He's talking about Slave Zero X.
with Minister Singh on one. He's in the legislature and he's the head of the new Democratic Party. He's going to be running. We assume that he'll run for prime minister in the next general election.
You're talking
up
about
north,
Canada?
In Canada.
And he's talking about this game.
But you think, well, Claudia is obviously, she's in the pole position to be the president of Mexico. She's got all the time that she needs to start thinking about old Dreamcast games that have been made into 2.5D.
Robbie, I see what you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
This is all there's Canada, America, Mexico. These are all
Exactly.
candidates.
The triumvirate, the North American
I
trilogy.
get it. I get it. So that is funny.
Gosh.
This is
Sorry.
so funny.
But there's a relationship here, which is that some people think that Jagmeet Singh has a better chance of becoming Prime Minister of Canada than Kennedy does becoming the President of the United States.
Sing.
He's the leader. I just showed him. He's the leader of the new Democrats Party
Oh.
in Canada. So they're
I get
sort
it.
of like, you know how like
This is
you
funny.
know how like the Lib Democrats in England were kind of like straddled the center of the center right and the center left. They would kind of like they were kind of like amorphous. They'd kind of like pass through between the two. You know about that? Well, they would never talk about Slave Zero or Slave Zero X because they were too busy doing that. Whereas Jagmeet Singh is on the far left of Canadian politics, and nobody's gonna try to bump him off. So he's got as much time, even though he's probably not going to be prime minister, he's got as much time to think about Slave Zero and Slave Zero X as Claudia Sheinbaum. And that's funny video.
Oh. This is very funny. Kyle, tell me what is it like to be Robbie's cousin? And it's so nice to meet you. And when I first found out that Robbie had a cousin, I was mad because I wanted to be Robbie's cousin, and I lost my cousin at a young age.
I see Joe Botnick's talking about Nick Clegg, the former leader of the Lib Dems in the UK, and I just want to say that he can't be on the Funny Video Game News because he works for Facebook now, and so he doesn't have time.
Let's hear from Kyle.
I'm gonna ask questions. Quit touching me with a stick. Kyle, so happy to have you here on Cousins Night here on EGI2 Stream 10.
Yes.
It's a wonderful night. It's a night to reconnect.
but
It's a
can you
night
call
for
me
families. Cuzzy Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Cuzzy Kyle, I want to give you a quick present.
Oh wow.
Which is
thank you.
What do you have there?
This is a loaf of challah bread. So challah is, if you're unfamiliar with challah, it's kind of like Jewish friendship bread. And we're not friends, we're family, but you still can have you can't have any bread yet because it's not, you have to wait till Friday is I think how it works. Because I'm not Jewish. Maybe you're Jewish, but I'm pretty sure you wait until Friday. But on Friday, go nuts.
Thank you. It feels really stale.
Well, it's unleavened, so that might be the same thing. Unfamiliar.
I think that's leaven.
I of course my
You're
people.
thinking of matzah.
My
Matzah's
people
unleavened.
come from the Pictish community, the Scots and the Anglos, and so we just we eat a lot of oysters and mussels and eel.
Eraserhead Baby says that's not unleavened.
Kyle,
You're thinking of matzah.
So I just want to say let's kick off the cousins interview since I think that unless Allan, your cousin's coming any moment now.
Your cousin's coming?
Any moment, I believe.
No, I don't think so. My cousin passed in kind of a tragic way on ice, in an ice accident, and it was video game related, but it's an interesting story. But maybe another time.
So while we're waiting for Allan's cousin to arrive, let's talk a little bit about you.
Yeah.
What's your life like? What's it? And what was your life? What I want to know, three things here. One, what was your life like before you knew that you and me were cousins? Two, what was it like to find out that I was your cousin? Where were you, and how did that happen? And if you could remember of three things, what are your thoughts about making old Dreamcast third-person shooters into cross-platform 2.5D Strider 2 / Shinobi X? Was it Shinobi X on the Sega Saturn, Alan?
Yes, it was.
So Shinobi X style, jumping around, slash them up, collect orbs, go nuts type of action game.
Yeah.
So you can do those in any order that you deem fit, because it's Cousins Night, and you have the table. Do you have a microphone?
I'll start with the orbs. I like the orbs. I like collecting the orbs.
Fan of the orbs, Kyle Mazzono, breaking news. We do have orbs.
Orbs, and then maybe you can play that laugh sound.
Oh, yes. That one. I also have the big male laugh.
I want to say, Kyle, one of the things that I'm noticing about you from right off the bat is that you simply exude charisma.
Oh.
You're practically...
Wow, really?
It's practically blasting out of your pores.
Thank you. That's what I've been told from a young age. But my life before this was very meaningless, and now that I know that someone has a giant head like mine, and we're here together, and we can talk about the orbs and the bread and Moreno and logs.
Moreno would be like a little boy with brown hair, but it's Morena, which is a little girl.
Morena. We're even having familial arguments together, which is cool.
And breaking bread with family. That must be so nice.
Breaking house bread on Fridays.
So nice. Bread.
You don't break bread on a Monday. What happens on a Monday?
People also probably go to church.
People go to church on Sundays
and Mondays.
What kind of church is
if
that?
You're really religious.
What do you do on a
Monday?
Monday?
Monday, Tuesday. You go every day if you're actually. What do you call it? You're actually committed.
Like the Clash song.
What is the Clash song? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Tuesday,
what is that song?
Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday, no. What is
Saturday.
the other one that goes Monday, Wednesday, Happy Days?
That's the Happy Days.
I think that's Shanana.
No, that's Happy. That's the song. That's the theme
Monday,
song to Happy
Tuesdays,
Days.
Happy Days.
Yeah, exactly. Happy Days by Shanana.
Monday, Tuesday.
So you're getting your car. Or where were you? Maybe you were taking. Where are you on the bus? Where were you when the call came through?
I took a couple different. Devices. I took a train, and then I hopped on a scooter.
You call them devices.
I hopped on a scooter, and then I hopped on a skateboard, and then I walked for about 5 minutes, and then I got into a Uber, and then I hopped out of that.
That's called last mile transit.
Robbie.
So Alan, you've heard about last mile transit?
I'm learning about it now. You have a very interesting cousin.
Obviously, last mile transit is when people.
And then I floated on an orb.
You floated. Well, hopefully absorb the orb like you do in Strider 2.
What are you talking about?
You get you collect orbs in Strider game.
Well, in my game, you sit on an orb and it takes you to go to your next location.
Where's your next location?
Wait, but more interesting. It sounded like Kyle said.
You got off the train.
You have a game?
On a scooter and then got into an Uber.
Robbie, your cousin said she also has a game, like a game she made up.
Yes. Where we sit on my game, the two-person shooter game I like is we sit on orbs, and then it's two-person shooters.
What? It's a two-person shooter.
You shoot like this in your head.
Robbie.
This is the funny portion.
I think.
James. She's fucking crackers.
Robbie, I think
You just call me crackers?
there's
Kyle,
something-
so happy to hear that you're doing so well with all the different modes of transportation that
Something's
you use
going
to
on
get
with your
around the
cousin.
city. It's a big city. It's a sprawling city.
Are you sure? Your cousin? I think your cousin's.
Crackers?
What is happening to your cousin?
Well, obviously, I think what's happening. I'm going to take a bit of a leap of leap of faith here and say what's happening is that the funny video game news of the Slave Zero funny video game news regarding the various presidential candidates from the various countries in the NAFTA.
Yes, it takes a minute. The funny video game sometimes it takes a minute to hit.
Yeah, but when it hits harder. It hits like a ton of bricks, and that's clearly what's happening.
When the funny video game news hits, and then it's like a meme of Kyle maybe laughing. So if you're in the fan community, make a funny meme of Kyle laughing. Like get a still or a drawing of Kyle laughing and say when the funny video game news hits. Because I think the cousin's on drugs.
All right.
It's quite,
But Kyle, I want to. Where were you?
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
So you get the news. You've got a cousin living nearby. Are you happy? Are you feeling like you're
No,
because when I
Robbie,
tell you
I'm not happy because I know I'm gonna have to take several modes of transportation to get to point A to point Z.
Okay.
So I'm not happy about it. I know what my day's gonna look like, and that means I'm going to have to probably take a train, a skateboard, sit on my horse.
well, let me tell you something. Well,
You know, so it's not happy news.
maybe arrange a police car to come pick you up.
oh, that was the wrong button. I'm sorry.
Kyle, I want to, I don't like to pin people to their jobs, but what is it you do for work? Obviously, this is our business. We're in the business of communication. We're in the business of clean entertainment, of giving people funny video game news and reviews.
I tune up orbs.
She tunes up orbs.
Robbie, I think she's like pulling your leg. I think it's like a prank.
Well, this is a good segue, I think, because we do have, believe it or not, Kyle, and I think you're going to really enjoy this. We do have more funny video game news.
Oh no.
So,
oh Lord.
This is a funny. Well, actually, let me take one step back. No one else is talking about this on Twitch on twitch.tv.
Most people on Twitch they just take
we've had people talking about Slave Zero X, obviously,
which is a game.
And we have another trailer, James, I believe.
Make sure you pick the right file, James, because sometimes it's kissing.
And this is, and so we know that they've made a 2.5D game out of a third. Oh wait, no, sorry, this is a different trailer. James, this is the same 2.5D game. This is Slave Zero X. This is the game that is causing all the people in NAFTA to go nuts. This is what's causing there it is.
What's this?
This is Episode Enyo.
Episode Enyo.
Episode Enyo is a free Quake mod.
Oh.
Set in the world of, believe it or not, Slave Zero X.
This is a Quake mod.
It's a Quake mod set in the world of Slave Zero X.
Why would they do that?
It is a total conversion mod
of
a game that came out in 1997.
Are people talking about this?
That is a prequel to a game that is coming out that is a. This is it. This is the funny. This is the kind of funny video game news that gets me up in the middle of the night, and I look at my wife, and I walk around the house, and I look at my wife, and I walk around again, and I look at her again, just to make sure she's real. Episode Enyo is a free WAD. That's WAD mod.
Why'd you say WAD?
Because sometimes I call it WAD. That you can download right now for Quake Remastered. And this is I'm not getting a dime of payment for this.
WOD.
I'm running around the house in the middle of the night. I'm looking at my wife and I'm making sure she's real because this is too much. I have come to the end. Something is happening where it seems like somebody is. Let me tell you a story. Back in the 90s, there was a Marvel 2099 universe that was invented. They took all the Marvel characters you knew, the Punisher,
Batman.
Spider-Man's, Doom. People were really into Doom back then, and they made 2099 versions of them. 100 years in the future, what are these characters going to be like? What's their storylines going to be? Are they going to be the same people? Are we going to make that a question? They had those. They started out with those three. They had the Hulk there.
Yep.
You remember?
Oh,
they
yeah.
had Ravage. That was a new character, but he kind of reminded people of Nomad.
Who's no?
And they says,
Don't ask
Nomad is,
questions because
Bucky
it just
Barnes'
keeps going.
Alter ego.
Don't ask questions about this.
So Bucky Barnes' alter ego.
Just try to get him off it.
Sorry.
Oh.
So, and they says, and I went to the comic book store and I says, guess I want to put some money down on a bet here that in a few months we're going to see X-Men 2099, which was an obvious choice because they were a big deal back then.
You said this. You said this as a child to a cashier.
And then I came back a few weeks later once they had announced X-Men 2099, and I says, guess what? Next thing is going to be, and I took a long pause and I looked at his name was Puppy.
It's called a pregnant pause.
A pregnant pause. Me and Puppy, the guy who worked at the comic book store, he liked industrial music. He loved 9 Inch Nails, and I says it's going to be Ghost Rider next, and he said you're nuts, and I says I ain't nuts. My parents just got divorced. I got a lot of time on my hands by myself while they're figuring out their own business, and Ghost Rider is next. And if Ghost Rider is next, if that's the next 2099 beat, then you owe me a copy of Ghost Rider 2099 #1, and I'm going to keep it I'm going to bring that copy of that magazine with me wherever I go for the rest of my life. And Puppy says, you're nuts. And I don't care if your parents got divorced. And then he smoked a cigarette.
I do like that. I like that as a name.
But you didn't. You were.
But I'm saying
but
I knew,
nothing happened.
I'm
You
not
didn't get
gonna
that.
say,
You didn't win.
I did win because that's what came out.
But he
I
didn't.
had
But
a
Puppy
prophetic
didn't. But Puppy didn't
vision.
take. But Puppy didn't take the bait. Didn't take the bet.
He did take the bet.
But I thought you said he just smoked a cigarette.
No,
and
he
went
said
outside.
he called me. He said I was nuts.
But that doesn't mean he agreed to the terms of the bet.
Well, it doesn't matter because
Where's Puppy now?
and Puppy, he lives in Jacksonville.
Oh. Have you had him on the show?
No.
You're one of the only guests we've had.
Dreadfully unlikable person.
Oh, talking to the mic.
Oh yeah, dude.
Have you ever had Puppy on the show?
No, I've never had Puppy on the show. He and I worked on the same block in New York City at one point. But that was his ex-girlfriend and I.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If I started asking, because I've never had a nickname,
Right.
if I started asking everyone to call me Puppy from now on, do you think that people would start doing it?
I don't think you got what it takes. Puppy. First of all, you don't smoke cigarettes, as far as I know, and I can tell that you don't smoke cigarettes because I'd be able to smell them on you. Two,
I used to.
Puppy
I do smell something.
Puppy had a shirt, and the reason everybody called him Puppy because he's the one guy in Tallahassee, Florida, that had a Skinny Puppy shirt. You recognize Skinny Puppy as a word, as 2 words that make a name? Skinny Puppy was an industrial band, and he had a shirt from them, and he was skinny, so they were like, well, that's one of those words, and then everyone just called him Puppy because of the second word. So you ever have people like that around you that have shirts that you call that then identify them as nicknames?
I guess so. I could get the shirt, but the only thing is that I wouldn't say I'm skinny. I have an athletic build, so I'd have to. If maybe I got a shirt that said athletic build, Puppy, then people would be muscular Puppy.
Robbie's strong
so
too.
Muscular.
Robbie's also really strong.
Alan, I think what she's trying to say to me is that she wants herself a nickname.
I just say, she said she wanted to be called Puppy. I'll call her
Well,
Cousin Puppy.
I don't think Puppy's. I already got a guy named Puppy, and I don't like him.
Okay.
And I don't want to.
Puppy.
If you're Puppy, then I'm gonna keep every time I come up with your name, then I'm gonna think about this other feller that I don't like.
I see the dilemma.
I want to say you like what kind of sandwiches you eat?
Peanut butter jelly.
So jelly. There you go.
I don't like that.
You don't like jelly? Okay,
What
what
about
about
peanut?
peanut?
That name.
How
Cousin
about peanut?
No, I like Puppy.
No, what?
I like
No,
dogs.
you don't get to take names.
Do you have any dogs?
I have
Look.
I have 2 dogs.
I'm the center of the cinematic universe, all right? This is the show that I started. I get to be the center of the cinematic universe. Therefore, I get to choose the names of the characters. That's how it works, right?
No,
Right?
I want to be called Puppy.
You don't get to.
Robbie,
All
you're
right.
right.
What about
you're right.
Doggy?
No, I don't.
Cousin Doggy?
Cousin Doggy. That's
kind of
fine. A
it has
dog.
a ring
Everyone
to it.
loves
Cousin
a dog.
Doggy.
Cuzzy Puppy.
Puppy Cuzzy.
So,
It is. I see the dilemma though. You're right. It is kind of problem.
so this is a
You
talk
don't wanna-
show. This is an interview show. Oh, wait. We got one more funny video. So we know
Okay.
about the first-person shoot, the Quake Total Conversion mod
Jeez.
for Slave Zero X called episode.
This is a long.
Enyo.
This is a long segment.
And so, Quake Master Total Conversion mod Slave Zero X episode Enyo is in the funny video game news because the president of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, says, "What's next? A Mach-N X Total Conversion mod for Half-Life called Mach-N 2X?" See, that's funny video.
Oh, let
That's
me hit
the
the button.
stuff that we do
That was
here.
great. That was great. And it was short and concise. And I'll also do the level, the party blower.
Someone in the chat said K-Dog. What about K-Dog?
K-Dog.
What about D-Dog? Red sweater, so shirty.
Something about teeth. Something about biting. Like dogs,
Yeah,
like
shirty.
puppy bite.
What do you got? Jeans on? Or how about jeansy?
What
Like
about
Jean
little-
Grey.
little-
They're actually pants.
What? Why are they blue?
They look like jeans, but they're pants.
Pretty sure that if pants are blue, they're jeans.
No, they're pants.
Are they? They're not denim.
I would call them pants. Slacks.
What about
Slacks.
Denny's?
Robbie calls
Yeah.
pants
I
chinos.
want to be called
Panty? Not
That's-
not
This
panty.
is-
Not that would be
honestly,
gross.
This is
Not be
rated
nasty.
R disgusting. You
Robbie-
gross me out.
That's like a log.
That's a log.
That log is not going in the lake. She didn't like it. We're not going with it.
Block.
It's a block. Log. The log. See, and that's what family is for. A family. This is what family's for, Alan. And this is one of the many lessons that we can learn tonight. Is that when a family member sees a log rolling towards your lake, it's up if they're a true love, if they love you unconditionally in the way that my cousin Kyle loves me, they'll stand in the direction. They'll stand on the hillside in front of the log, and let that thing just batter their body. But then in the puddle that is left, the human puddle that is left, when a giant log rolls over a person, that puddle is what catches the log and keeps it from going into the clean water.
Robbie tells a lot of interesting stories with morals, then sometimes it's hard to decode and you need him to explain the moral. But Robbie, I feel like I have a familial sort of relationship with Robbie in that we have a loving, kind of caring relationship. We can say anything and, you know, sort of rough and tumble cousin kind of relationship. More like brothers, actually. Back to you, brother.
Back to you, Kyle. Back to you, Alan. Back to you, Kyle. And thank you for that thought, Alan. And Kyle, I want to say one more thing. And this is something that I found out because I looked at the bag that you brought into the show tonight, and I see that there's clothes in that bag. Are you a tailor?
No, I'm not.
Are you a hawker? What is
a hawker?
Someone who hawks clothes.
What do they hawk it for?
I read this book the other day about a guy named Håkan, which is a Swedish name, but everyone called him Hawk.
Is he friends
What
with
about if
Robbie?
can I call you Hawk?
Cousin Hawk.
Cousin Hawk.
I kind of like that.
All right. So cousin Kyle the Hawk Mizono has a bag of clothes.
Cuzzy the hawk.
What?
Cuzzy
Hawk.
Hawk.
No, Cuzzy the
Cuzzy
Hawk.
Hawk. Cuzzy Hawk.
That sounds weird.
Cuzzy Hawk.
Cuzzy hawk.
Cuzzy
It sounds like
Hawk
what- it sounds like
sounds like something.
Cuzzy hawk.
Uh,
Monday,
sounds like Kitty
Tuesday,
Hawk.
happy
Sounds like-
Cuzzy,
days.
we're talking about being on the train, or
Monday,
a Cuzzy
Tuesday,
Hawk sounds
happy
like
days.
something you want to scrape off the bottom of your foot. Cuzzy Hawk.
It's
Look
okay.
at the bottom of your foot. Got to get home, get my shoe cleaning kit out because I got Cuzzy Hawk all over my shoes when I got off
I have
the
a
train.
t-shirt business.
You have a what?
T-shirt business, so I brought some t-shirts. If anyone
You
wants
have
to buy
wait a
some
minute.
t-shirts
Wait,
from
hold
me,
on.
yeah.
Wait, you sell T-shirts?
Yes, I hawk the t-shirts and then I sell them.
Wait, like what kind of T-shirts?
Cool t-shirts.
Can you show us a couple T-shirts?
Yes, I'll show you.
And you make money off of this?
Sometimes. Not all the time. I might retire.
Do you have? All right.
Here's a small one for if someone is maybe a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. But the cool thing is it's double-sided.
Oh wow.
Is it the same image on both sides?
Let me take a look at that.
Yeah, I guess so.
What's the point of that? Why would anyone want? First of all, look the amount of paint on that thing. You can boil a child alive in that thing. They try to walk around in Disneyland. You kidding me? Anaheim? God Almighty!
It's pretty cool.
Trying to kill these people. What else you got?
I got in here. This one is a lot of money. I have it on eBay. It hasn't sold in over a year because I listed it too high.
What's a lot of money? Like how much?
I listed it for $200.
Let me see this.
No takers.
Let's see it.
What is that?
Can we get a close up of this thing? Can we crop
If
the image
someone
here?
wants it,
Hold that up.
I'll
Lift
give
it up here.
I'll give it to
What
them
is-
for $60.
What is that? Sound off in the chat
So
if
you're
you
making-
want.
you're
What
telling
is?
me-
What am I looking at?
You're getting T-shirts out of the trash and you're selling them on eBay for $60.
What is it?
It looks like a man. Looks like one of these. You know what it looks like? Is this? It looks like one of those guys from Prometheus.
People in the chat want it. How can they buy it?
You can go to Kyle's
What size?
Kyle's T-shirts. It's extra large.
Can
What
we put
size?
Kyle's
What size?
T-shirts extra large into the chat so people know where to go for it?
At Kyle, where is that?
It's on Instagram.
And how large?
It's this is how large it is.
And
how
they're all
large?
extra
But,
large?
but we don't know how large you are. So we need to hold up a dollar or a penny.
Oh, what
for
size are
skip.
you, Robbie?
Hold on, I'll get a dollar.
I'm extra large.
Hold on.
You want to put it on?
No, that's because that's been in. You get these out of the trash.
Oh yeah. There, that's for
So
size.
this is for scale.
Wait a
So
minute.
go
For
back.
scale.
So go to the close-up.
Let me ask you something.
This is for scale. That's how big it is.
You hold that up.
Can we get
Okay.
the close up? There's
So-
a dollar. That's real money that she's making right now.
Well, no, that's mine.
So that's how you know. Now you know if it'll fit you or not.
All right.
I'm
Let
gonna
me
need-
see it.
I
All
do-
right.
I
People
do-
in the chat
I
want to
do-
see me
I
put
do
it on.
need
Let's
that-
see,
I do-
let's see if I
okay.
can get this on.
Okay.
So, but this is a troubling. But this
Here's
is.
this one for scale now with a dollar.
Okay,
Well-
but you'll give it back.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is small. This is
Okay,
small.
yeah, this is see. Look at that.
I don't like- I don't
Now
like
you
how-
can tell.
I don't like how this is going.
That's-
This is making me uncomfortable.
So that for scale, you can tell if this will fit you.
Robbie has a shirt that he made. Robbie,
Good.
show your shirt.
So this is a shirt that I made. This is a shirt of. This is all the different sponsors of the show, Kyle. So this is.
Could you sell that?
This is, and you can't. If you can't see, if I hold it like this, can you get close up? Can you get a close up? Can you crop it?
No.
Can you get a close up? How about you get a little close up? Can you crop it? Can you crop that? Can you see it? Can you see
No.
if I can do it? Don't worry about it. So this is a shirt that has all of the sponsorships of the show on it. And we don't make any money off of these sponsorships, but we use them. We use the shirt and we use these slides here. Take a look at the screen there. Frame Gride, see it right here. That's Frame Gride. That's an old Dreamcast game. It's an arena style dream. If you ever played Virtual on Ontario Tangram, sort of like that, but with the instead of mechs, they're called frames.
Frame Gride.
So it's called Frame Gride, and the frames gride around each other in these arenas, and then there's a card system too, so you get upgrades and cards, and you can do different powers.
Cousin Puppy. These aren't real sponsors. We don't have any real sponsors. These are sponsors Robbie wants to
So
get.
these are sponsors that I want. Another sponsor is, and this you see down here. Wait, where is it? Mini PCs,
Mini gaming
desktops.
PCs.
Mini gaming desktops that cost around $800. You see it right there up on the screen. On the screen.
We want that. We want
Kyle
that.
the Hawk Mizuno.
Kyle the Hawk.
Kyle the Hawk Mizuno. So those are. Imagine that we could. One of the things that we do for sponsorship is they send us $800 little consoles. We do an unboxing live on twitch.tv/EGI_2.
That's what this is.
And then we show them all the insides of the thing, and we run some tests on it. We run it through we run Unreal 5 on it and make it see what's the frame rate. Can we unlock the frame rate? Can we get it above 60?
I feel disappointed because I swallowed a second piece of gum. I have to just get another piece. Shit.
And then we
I don't
sell
think
the
that's
piece,
healthy.
and then we
I
sell the
just-
PCs
I
on
think I
eBay.
have stomach aches all the time because I swallow some gum.
Cousin Hawk.
Sorry.
Can I have a piece of gum?
Kyle the Hawk Mizuno.
Kyle the cousin.
Robbie,
Kyle the Hawk. Thank you, cousin. A Hawk. Thank you, Hawk.
You want a piece of gum?
I'm all right. If I chew a piece of gum right now, I feel like I'm gonna all my teeth are gonna. I'm gonna bruise my gums. Also, I don't want people to hear. Take that piece of gum out of your mouth, Alan. You've got a contact mic on. People are gonna hear the sound of you chewing, and they're gonna get sick, and they're gonna turn off the TV.
Sound off no, they can't. Sound off in the chat, you can hear it. The audio on the show is really bad.
So the idea is that for the mini PCs, we sell the mini PCs for around $600 to $700, $800 mini PC. If it's just been opened, it's only been turned on one time. I believe that we can knock off $100, no more, and still get that back, put it back into the show.
They can't hear it.
Spend more money on things like
chew louder.
They can't hear it. They can't hear it.
Which we already bought some wireless mics with some of the money that we get from the hype trains.
Robbie, they're saying hear what? Because they can't hear it.
Right.
It is moderately.
So what I want to say to you, Kyle, is that you have. You're telling me you pick up.
They can't hear it.
You pick shirts. You pick these crazy shirts made by psychopaths out the garbage, and then you sell them on eBay for $60. Where's the overhead? What's your actual overhead?
I'm not sure what overhead means.
I don't know what it means either, but I'm asking the question because I'm thinking that if you're selling trash shirts for $60 on eBay, you must be making a lot of money.
Sure.
I mean, that's a living.
No, it's not.
I mean, let me tell you something.
No, it's not.
Your ancestors,
not when you're bougie.
When your ancestors and my ancestors are the same. I understand. You keep saying that word to me, and I'm hearing you. But what I'm saying,
cousin bougie.
What I want.
I think that's got a cousin bougie.
I need money. So
here it comes.
Here it comes.
He's asking.
Would you consider sponsoring? And I'm just throwing this out there, but we're family, so we can talk about these things. Would you consider sponsoring EGI2 with your garbage shirts?
I just don't think that that's a good thing for my business.
Shoot. Uh-oh. I don't think...
Are you okay?
I don't think you asked right.
Let's go to the phone. Let's take some calls. How about that? We have a caller already on. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2 with cousin Kyle the Hawk Mizono.
Puppy.
Bougie.
And Bougie and...
Bougie. Bougie bee.
Can you, caller?
Yeah, I'm here. Shout out Kyle Bougie Doggy. What's up, girl? I mean, guy. What's up, dude?
What?
What's up?
Are you calling
who the hell?
Girl, guy, did you say shut up or what's up?
I don't know. I said shout out. I said.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a little technical.
Why did you call me a girl and then a guy?
I don't know. I'm bad at assuming genders.
Okay, well then I guess that was okay.
Kyle's having a great time. I'm having a great time. Allan and James we're all here. We're all family. We're all related except for it's just me and Kyle that's related, and the other two
and me
just kind of work here, but more volunteer. So it works like that. Who are you and where you're calling from?
I'm almost ashamed to say, but I'm Cody.
Oh, it's Florida. Cody from Cape Coral, Florida. Friend of the show. One of the Cape Coral boys. And Cody, what's your cousin situation like over there?
My pronouns are she, her.
It's Kyle the Hawk Mizono.
Here.
I tried to get my sister on the line, but it's way too late for that now.
So Kyle, Cody from Cape Coral is a regular caller. Cody's from Cape Coral, Florida. It's a flood-prone part of the state.
Oh no, are you okay?
Oh no, my roommate lost a Cadillac in the flood.
Yeah, it was a nasty. They showed the photograph.
Whoa, that's why you don't buy Cadillac.
Yeah, because if it was a normal boat.
Because if it was a Rivian, it would have stayed put.
You should have got Rivian.
Kyle, you got a Rivian?
Yes. That's one of my 7 trips. That's the one I took the last stop here.
So you're getting the quality. You're not getting these like dirtbag Ubers.
That's why they call.
You're getting
That's why I said
you're paying
bougie.
you're calling that you're getting the $25.
Uber Black.
What?
It's called Uber Black, I think.
I don't think you're supposed to say that.
I'm a 4.8 passenger.
You're a 4.8. That's
that mean?
fantastic.
Yeah.
news.
What is
Kyle,
that?
what's your rating?
I think it's pretty bad actually, because I used to get wasted and just kind of pass out.
Yeah, I always talk to my Uber driver. I like have a conversation with him.
Cody, what are your thoughts on this on the Slave Zero X situation that's happening with the again? This is the, let's not take let's Abiy Ahmed, the president of Ethiopia, seems to be making fun of the whole situation in the funny video game news. Saying, he's trying to say that he's saying this is ridiculous, and I'm saying it's ridiculous too. But I think he's going too far. And when you're the president of an illiberal democracy like Ethiopia is, and they've freed up, they've made some reforms in the last since the last presidency, Allan.
Absolutely, and good for them.
And good for them for trying, but
That's
they still
fair to
on FreedomWorks. That's a website you can go to, and you can see you can see all the different all the different countries in the world and their governance systems and how they rate on a scale of 1 to 100. Ethiopia still gets a 26.
Not good.
So Kyle, Cody? What? No, Kyle, you stay put. Cody, what are your thoughts?
So is it my turn for? So do you want me to comment on that funny video game news, or do you want my own funny video game news?
Kyle, what do you think Cody should do?
I think maybe does Cody want a nickname?
Cody, what about
I
that?
would love one. Yeah, how about one?
Coral. I call Coral.
How about Ribby for Rivian?
Ribby?
Do you have
Ribby.
a Rivian, Cody?
Ribby.
Ribby.
Ribby?
Rivians are those ones that look like they look like
Oh, I got it. Ribby Orb.
Ribby.
I tell you why I like Ribby, because
Ribby Orb.
Ribby sounds like one of Star Fox's friends.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
like
sounds like
Star
it sounds like Robbie
Ribby
too.
Orb. Get the Ribby Orb.
It sounds like
Ribby Orb.
Robbie.
Yeah.
So is that a bad thing?
And the Toad feller.
No,
is like,
no.
The
I
Toad
want-
feller is like, get that Ribby Orb.
Robbie, I want
Get it.
a nickname. I want Robbie to give me a nickname.
Okay.
Cody, give Allan a nickname.
I want
I'm
Robbie
a
to do
little
it.
Flustered.
No, I want Robbie to do it.
Don't see Cody,
oh.
what Cody can do. He's a smart guy.
Allan could be Buggo. Buggo is Allan.
No.
Buggo it is.
Buggo.
Buggo it is.
And
Still.
Buggo it is.
Robbie is, how about we call him?
Well, Joe Bodnick in the chat just said do a Ribby roll, and that sounds like a Star Fox thing, but also Ribby roll is not too bad. I don't think that's far off the mark. Cody, what do you think? Ribby roll Rackleff?
Ribby Roll Rackleff.
Sure. I mean, I'm a yes and kind of man. So yes, yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
that's your
Far out.
nickname. Ribby. Roll. Rock a roll.
And Kyle, you clearly,
Buggo.
lost a great deal of. You've lost. I want to say you've lost your marbles on your way to work, because I'm not really sure what it is you do for a job besides the t-shirts. But I want to ask you, Cody, are you still with us?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Cody, if you can follow this for a second here, it's gonna take a sec. I gotta take a bit of a breath here.
Good gum.
Where's your
Kyle's
Hey,
on.
where did your gum go?
I haven't put the.
Oh, it's right
I don't want people to hear me chewing. I got long teeth and a lot of saliva, and I think that's just gonna cause a terrible situation for people.
You have long teeth.
Yes, extremely.
Oh,
Like
they
doctor
like
says, I'm not even gonna open my mouth like that.
I ate it.
I keep my mouth
Oh.
I ate
mostly
it.
shut the whole time.
Oh my God.
Because I don't want people seeing these things.
Oh no! Oh no!
I ate it by accident. Oh my God, it feels crazy in my. I feel it like it already went down to the total bottom of my
God.
body.
Cody,
no.
I
It's already
forgot what
like
I
I
was
feel
gonna
it like
try
it's
to
already
ask
coming out of the
y'all.
bottom.
It was
No.
everybody in here is just eating gum and just not following the rules at all. I'm not really sure where to go from here.
I mean, I'm a couple seconds behind in watching the video feed because I'm on the phone call. But yeah, it looks like Robbie just ate a whole ass piece of gum.
I haven't eaten it. I haven't put anything in my mouth since the beginning of the stream.
I mean,
am
Allan.
Parched.
Allan, you talking about Buggy? Wait, or Ribby?
Buggo.
Buggo.
Buggo or Ribby?
Buggo.
Or Puppy?
Buggo.
No.
Kyle the Hawk Mizono
No,
and
no.
Ribby Robbie.
I have a
Ribby-
couple bougie too.
Or Ribby Roll. Ribby Roll
Puppy,
Rack.
Puppy Bouge. Bougie Puppy Bouge.
Cody, thank you so much for your
Thank you
call.
wow, what a great
hopefully,
call.
Stay safe. It's a terrible
Stay.
place where you live.
Funny
ground is-
video game
the ground-
news.
Funny video game news.
Funny video game news.
Oh, funny video game
Ron
news. Sure.
DeSantis
Ron DeSantis.
likes slaves. That's all.
Oh.
Ron DeSantis thinks Slave Zero is a great thing. Bye.
Kyle, so the idea is
I
that
think I get it.
newsmaker like Ron DeSantis will say something about a game like Slave Zero, and then that will make the funny video game news. So what he was saying was that Ron DeSantis says I couldn't hear it because everybody was confusing me. But what I think I heard
back to
was
you,
he
Rob.
said something. Was Cody from Cape Coral says something like, Ron DeSantis says about Slave Zero, I like the slave part because of his issues that he's had with
I get it.
making it difficult for school teachers to teach problematic epochs of American history. Yes, from the Latin.
And back
Oh,
to you,
okay.
Robbie,
Oh.
and back to you, Allan, and back to you. Talk.
Scott
it is
from the pit.
your,
Scott
your
from the
old
pit.
friend.
Glad to hear your
This is-
voice.
this is Scott
friend
from
of the show,
Pittsburgh. Hi.
friend of the chat.
Christ, you're here.
It is Scott from Pittsburgh.
Kyle, Scott, what are your thoughts on the Slave Zero X situation, on Mach X, on any Dreamcast game that deserves a sequel but gets a prequel that doesn't seem to have much of that only has a tertiary, is that the word I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Tertiary link between the original and the follow-up.
Well, and back to you, Robbie. And I did have a thought on the game, and it was very similar to yours. That I kind of thought that. So you're telling me Slave Zero was first, and then Slave Zero X is sort of like a remaster, but it's kind of a pre-master
So
in the way
Scott,
that
give me one
it's
second
supposed
here
to
for
be
Kyle. I gotta
before.
explain something to Kyle. A remaster refers to the Red Faction Guerrilla remake that came out a few years ago first it was on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and then they made a newer version and they updated various elements in the game engine for the newer consoles, and because it takes place on Mars, rather than calling it a remaster, they call it a remaster. So Scott, go ahead and continue on
I
with
did
your
think
thought.
of a nickname for Scott.
Well, back to you, Kyle the Cuzzy Hawk puppy. The good news for you is that sometimes Allan and Robbie and friends in the chat, sometimes they call me Scott from the pit.
Because Pittsburgh, he's from Pittsburgh.
But I don't know if that's a nickname.
But back to you, Kyle. I would like to hear what a nickname from you. I would like to hear what you would think it would
I
be.
was thinking maybe because of Pittsburgh, maybe it's Pippi.
Ooh, I like that.
Piss is rating with a party of 87.
Thank you.
We're about
Thank you,
87
Piss.
people getting in from Piss at 8 o'clock this
Thank you,
evening
Piss.
on EGI 2 Stream 10. And they're
Wow.
coming in and they're launching
They're going crazy.
launching logs.
So Piss is the name of a Twitch show, and a raid is when their
Every
audience
week
shows
Piss,
up.
Piss raids us, and it's just a bunch of
filthy-minded, pity pissy raid party.
Good lord!
Pity
All
raid.
right, Piss raids us almost every week, and everyone who comes in from Piss is just a dirty, sick tit.
Ew.
No, that's not what I
say
said.
that?
No, like a bug,
What?
tit bug. There's bugs called tits.
No, they're not.
Yes, there are, Alan.
You're thinking of a tit mouse. I've never heard of a tit bug. Robbie.
Anyway,
It sounds like a log.
All these people
It
are.
sounds like you're
all
dropping a
these
log.
people are
It
absolutely.
sounds like this is the horny episode.
I-
This is not the horny
The
episode,
show
this
is
is
normally
just
not
for
like
cousins.
this.
And
This
it's
is not like.
just
This is
you
a
being
cousins
horny,
episode. It's just a cousins
not
episode.
me and Alan.
If you're just rating us
And-
from
and
Kiss,
back-
this is a cousins night. This is a family night. If you got curse words, if you got brown words, get them out of here. Because this is because
and
we're
back
being
to you,
kind.
Robbie, and back to you, Alan. Since you did bring up Cousins Night, I would like I'd love to give a shout out to I have some cousins, the friends, cousins, brother, family. They're in the chat. I would like to give a shout out to them. They are a first time watcher, although I do forcefully make them watch clips sometimes. A shout out to S Divine 70 in the chat, and also a shout out to Allan. Breaking news. I don't know if we should. I don't know if. Just thank you for your visit, Allan. I don't know if we should show these things now or if we wait for the arts, because it was art in itself. But breaking news, Robbie. Allan did visit. We reviewed games. We had a good time, and I just wanted to thank him for that.
Thank you for
Thank you,
doing that,
Scott.
Alan.
Back
I'm not
to you,
sure
Scott.
how you
I mean,
managed
back
to
to
do
you,
that.
Pitt. What is his name?
Pippi.
Scott,
Pity.
Shout out to
Pippi.
Pippi's cousins.
Pippi. I don't.
Pippi and the cousin and Pippi and the cousin Pippi and the Pippi cousins. Pippi's cousins. Pippi's cousins.
And if you're just rating us from Piss, this is Robbie's cousin Kyle.
This is my cousin Kyle, but mostly what we're doing is we're talking about. We have another call coming
who are
in.
the people from
Scott,
the Piss?
we're gonna get. I think that we might see some evidence in this visit in just a minute, but
That's
we want to
Piss.
take another call first.
That person.
The one that
from
says
Piss.
hi,
you're
Kyle.
On,
It says
you're
rated
on
from
the
Piss.
on the EGI2
Hi, Kyle.
Cousins Night hashtag Cousins Night. Put the
Rob Croc just said Piss. First time chat just says Piss. Wizard. Oh, I can see. There. Yeah.
Wait,
Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from? What are your thoughts?
This is Kat calling from Ithaca.
Kat from Ithaca, regular
and
caller, friend of the
Ithaca
show.
is gorgeous,
Ooh,
Kyle. You know that.
I love
Ithaca is gorgeous.
That's right.
Kyle
of the show.
Kyle is my cousin. She's ready to answer any cousin-related questions. But keep it clean. Let's keep the lake clean.
Yeah.
We all want to drink from the lake.
All right, I will do my best to keep the lake clean. So it's very exciting to meet Kyle. I didn't know that Robbie had any cousins, but it's very cool. I was wondering if she had another nickname possibly up in that brain of hers for me.
Cat from Ithaca.
Cat.
From
Just
Ithaca.
maybe pick something like about a cat. Maybe just cat would
Or
be
mountains
like
or-
a kitty cat or something.
No,
Uh,
it's too simple.
You got Half Moon cookies from Ithaca?
What?
Are the Half Moon cookies from Ithaca?
Oh.
They're from.
Moon.
They're from there, around there.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Got it.
Yeah. Tahini.
Tahini. I don't.
Like the yogurt
The
stuff?
sauce.
Like the
Okay.
sesame, like the
Okay,
sesame.
okay,
oil,
fine.
sesame. Think about cat and Ithaca. That's all. Kind of all you have to go.
Cat.
You could ask
I
questions.
think when I think of Ithaca, I think of intellectuals. They're living in the wilderness and writing down notes in
It seems like
cabins.
the
and
word
leaving,
tahini has caught fire in the
full-on-
chat. Everyone's typing out tahini, so I think
I'm okay with tahini.
All right,
That
tahini it
works
is.
for me.
Thank you for your call, Cat.
Oh, I did have a question for Allan quickly, if it's okay.
yes, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Because since I am in upstate New York,
Ithaca.
and I think it's supposed to snow this week,
Yes.
I knew that there was some sort of story with Allan's cousin and flipping in upstate New York, and that sounds a little scary, so I was hoping you could say how to avoid.
Well, when does your cousin get here, Alan?
My cousin sadly is not going to join us tonight. My cousin passed from an accident on the ice where it was just an average ice accident and just kind of a normal upstate New York winter day. He wanted to play Soul Reaver, and I was more into point and click games, and we fought about that for a while. But he said, let's go to the store. And the store, we could walk to the store, so we put on snow boots and a warm coat and hat. We didn't want to get sick that day, and so we were walking. And we trudged and trudged and trudged through, in ups in New York, you get what's called lake effect from the Finger Lakes. And they cause sort of their own weather formation, which you get a lot of snow. As you know, Kat, you know. And so it was one of those lake effect snow. It was a snow day. It was a snow day. So that's why we would hang out on these snow days. We loved these snow days because we'd play games. Strong cousin, very strong and taller, a little taller than me, brown hair. And muscular, I did say that. And so we were trudging, and he was telling me all about all these kind of games I didn't know nothing about, and interesting stuff. And I said, oh, that's interesting. It was interesting. And we were walking, and we heard a sort of child's laugh, just a hee hee hee. Or I kind of have one here, kind of like that sound. We said, where is that? And like on a cold days, this, Cat, there's no children out because it's so cold with the lake effect and the wind chill.
It's too cold for the kids.
It's too cold for the kids. And we kept hearing this. Every couple of feet, we'd hear that laugh, and we'd look around. We didn't see any kids. And then there was a frozen lake, and there were footprints on the lake, out into the center of the lake. And my cousin said, I think I saw something move out there under the snow. We said, oh, that's weird. But these frozen lakes, you can go skiing. What do you call that, skiing?
Cross-country skiing?
Cross-country skiing you can do when it's, because it's so cold, so damn cold in upstate New York. The thick ice, you can jump on. It's basically strong enough to hold a car. And he said, I think there's something out on the lake. And he said, well, maybe there's a kid out there. Maybe there's a kid out on the lake. So we didn't have snowshoes. Normally the safe thing you'd wear these big snowshoes that look like a tennis racket on your foot. Cross, the stitching on it, it's such a way that you can walk on snow, and it distributes the weight in such a way that it distributes the weight well. Because on ice, if you were pointing down if you stab someone with a pen, it goes right through them. But if you tried to stab someone with a tennis racket, it would do nothing. So these were tennis racket feet.
Could go through.
If
the skin was soft enough.
So we kept hearing the hee hee hee, it was sort of a haunting sound, and I still hear it. Actually, whenever I close my eyes or sleep, I hear that pretty much every night. Like right when my head hits the pillow, I'll hear, and I will wake up. So I don't sleep anymore since the event. And he said, no, let's just go out there. And before we went out on the lake, he picked me up, and I'm much smaller than my cousin, and he would pick me up, and he would say, Allan, he'd look me right in the eyes and say, Allan, I just want you to know that I really love you a lot. And I said, that's so sweet, I love you too. And we hugged. And we used to hug all the time, me and my cousin. So anyways, we hear that, and we were trudging, trudge. I don't have like a snowshoe sound effect, but you could imagine kind of like a, and we were going out, and it's a big lake, by the way. And so we're just following these footprints, and they were small little footprints out into the center of the lake, and we follow them. And every time we get a little further, we hear it crack, like an ice crack. And I remember distinctly saying, we should keep going. And he said, I don't know, because the cracks kind of scared him. And I said, no, let's keep going, because I want to know what's the hee. And he just said, no, let's just go to EB Games. I want to play Soul Reaver, because it had just come out, and he was so excited to play Soul Reaver. I said, nah, I'm more curious about the laugh. So we trudge, and across the lake, suddenly there were these bright lights that weren't there before, and a honking horn. I don't know if I have a honking horn, but it was kind of like no, that's not it. It was more like it's just a car horn. And that made that, we said, what? And there were all these trucks lining the lake, and they were honking, and there were these big men going like this.
Yikes.
They didn't want us to go out onto the lake. But I said we should keep going, because I really was curious about that laugh. So we trudge.
Wow.
We're just trudging out, and the ice is cracking like crazy. It's like spidering cracks. And so I started brushing away the snow, because I heard that laugh. I think the laugh is under the snow. And I brush it away, brush, like this. And actually, normally the ice is so thick, it just looks like white, but when it's thin, it's kind of dark, like clear. And I saw in the water, I saw my cousin, my cousin's face was up in the water.
Oh my god.
And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense because he was also right with me. And so I looked
That's
over
so
at my
scary.
cousin, and all of a sudden, all those trucks were driving and honking. So I ran back. I ran right home. That was the last time I saw my cousin. Back to you, Robbie.
Oh my
Back to you,
God.
Allan, and it's leaving us hanging there. Hopefully your cousin gets here any minute and can tell us the end of the story. But Kat, I just thought of a great nickname for you.
Oh, great. What is it?
Raziel.
What was that?
Raziel. From Soul Reaver.
Oh, okay. I like that. And I guess the moral of Allan's story was maybe to be careful about how excited you get for Soul Reaver. So I
Yes.
think that nickname
Yeah.
will
Yeah,
remind you
I
of
think that was the moral.
And I think that you're pretty, and then and you're so excited from Soul Reader that you're just razzing out.
Yeah, but I need to be careful because I might end up falling into a lake or something. So I'll keep that in mind.
Well, I'm sure it sounds like the cousin just needed to get dried out a little bit. Be here any minute. Thanks for your call, Kat. Let's do we got a couple more things to get to this evening, but let's not tarry talking about cousins and getting Soul Reaver. Let's look at the it's the arts.
Wait, what about my report?
Oh wait, let's do Allan's report. Allan, Allan's report. Of course. What am I talking about? No, this is a special report, Kyle. Allan every week does a special report. Special assignment. He's on the beat for these special reports, and his special report tonight, I think, is really going to speak to many of us here out. This is after a long day dealing with cousins and ice ghosts. There's gonna be you're gonna have a lot of thoughts about Silent Hill Origins.
That's
on the PlayStation Portable.
Yay.
So let's hear about Silent Hill not Silent Hill Origins, the other one. Give me a second.
Mine is on Silent Hill Origins, Robbie. That's the report I
Okay,
did.
Silent Hill Origins.
This is my report, my special report on Silent Hill Origins, and I actually do have a bit of a special surprise for you, Robbie.
Okay.
I'm doing some.
Oh, it's about the other Silent Hill game. But what's the Silent Hill game I'm thinking of? It's Shattered Memories. So it's about Shattered Memories.
Robbie, I'm not actually doing a report about Silent Hill, Shattered Memories, or the other one we said. This is a surprise I'm doing. So, so this is a surprise special report. So let's show the first part of my report.
Fruity
Don't talk.
Breaking news. This is breaking news. EGI2 exclusive. No one else is talking about this, but I have a surprise for you, Allan. This is a special surprise for you, Allan. And that news is that tonight you don't have to. No special report from Allan tonight. You do not have to do a special report because I'm actually Robbie Rackleff. I am Robbie. I'm giving you a special report about Allan. So this is an EGI exclusive, a special report about Allan from me, Robbie Rackleff. So back to you, Allan.
Thank you, Robbie, and back to you, Robbie. Thank you, new Robbie, for saying I don't have to do my special report, and I can't believe you're going to do a special report, Robbie. So tell me about that. Back to you, Robbie.
Of course, Allan, and I just felt it was time that I gave back because you worked so hard, Allan. Allan, back to you. Back to me, Robbie. You do work so hard on EGI2. You put in so much work, and I thought it was time that I just give back a little bit of my time, my milk. This is my me give you milk. So I just thought I should do a special report about you, Allan, because I love you so much. I care about you, and I think about you a lot. I do think about you, and so that's why I decided maybe I should give a report about Allan. Back to you, Allan.
Thank you, Robbie. That is so sweet. I can't believe it. And again, I'm excited to just finally hear this report. And you're being so nice to me. I do love you. Back to you, Robbie. Let's hear your report. This is interesting.
So no one else is talking about this, but we're going to be talking about Allan. Allan Resnick, who is such a wonderful young lad who I do love. I do love you, Allan. I've always wanted to tell you how much I care about you and love you. And I also want to use this as an opportunity to invite you over to my house. We can play like we could play a couch co-op.
Okay.
Maybe a racing game or a shooting game would be kind of fun.
Wow.
Maybe a Metroidvania game with maybe there's a 2-player Metroidvania or maybe one of those 6 out of 7 out of 10 games that I like, but you don't like, but we could still play. Actually, let's play. I changed my mind. I'd rather play one of those big AAA Sony exclusive PlayStation 5 games. Maybe we could play one of those together. And this is all. Let me get back to you, Allan. Back to you, Allan, and back to you, Scott from the pit. No, back to you, Allan.
That is so wow, Robbie. I would love to come to your house and play one of these one of these great games. One of these, and I've never been invited to your house, so going to your house to play one of these kind of couch co-op games, that does sound very fun. And of course, I'm still looking forward to hearing your special report on me. Wow, I'm honored. Back to you, Robbie. I'm honored.
Back to me, and sorry about that. So I will do the special report about Allan. We'll be talking about Allan. Allan Resnick, my good friend who I care about and love, was born in a small sleepy town in upstate New York in 1986.
That's right.
And Allan, as we all know, was always a bright student, always a good student, and he was strong from a young age. He was strong and handsome. I think I will say that he has always shown off a sort of handsome, charming quality that is magnetic and drew me to him. From the moment I saw Allan, I was drawn to him. And again, I'd just like to take this opportunity on twitch.tv.com/EGI_2 to say, Allan, I'm looking you right in the eyes and I'm going to say it. I love you. I love you.
Thank you,
You're
Robbie.
my best friend, I've always loved you.
Wow.
So back to you, Allan.
Thank you, Robbie. I love you too. It actually does feel really good to hear you say that. I've always kind of imagined what it would be like to hear you say that, and it does feel good to hear it. So thank you for your special report. That was very nice. Back to you, Robbie.
And back to me, back to you, Allan, and no, back to me. You're welcome. I was happy to write the report. I've always wanted to write a report about you, but I couldn't find the words. For me, finding the right words to things I want to say is hard. It's sort of like digging a big pit in the backyard with a big shovel, and you dig and dig and dig, and you dig with your big arms, you stick them into the mud, and you retch out roots. And this special report was the roots that I retched out. Back to you, Allan.
Thank you, Robbie. Wow, that is so. I'm feeling very emotional right now, and it's not just because I was talking about my cousin's death. It's because of the words that you said, Robbie. It really moved me quite a bit. So back to you, Robbie.
And I have one more special surprise.
What?
This is breaking news.
Oh.
Breaking news. No one else is talking about this. No one is talking about this. But I would like to tell you, Allan, that I'm going to start paying you in traditional legal tender, U.S. dollars, not just string decks that you can't take home.
Thank you.
This is an EGI 2 exclusive promise from me, Robbie Rackleff, to you, Allan Resnick, who does so much hard work and deserves so much credit. I think that almost the lion's share of credit should go to you.
That's
and
true.
In honor of that, I will honor you with some money for each episode of EGI2 that you complete.
Yay, that's a lot.
I will be paying you a significant sum of money to be determined off camera.
Okay,
and
great.
I also would like to say that I'm going to be paying producer James. Producer James, you'll also be getting a wild amount of legal tender, enough money to pay rent and food, and maybe even get a better apartment. And so that is the breaking news.
From your
again,
mouth to
Allan,
God's
I
ears.
want to just break bread with you, shake hands with you, and hug and kiss you, and maybe you and I go out, just you and I alone at night. We go out, no wives or girlfriends. We go to a nice restaurant. We break bread. We drink a glass of wine. We clink the glasses.
Okay.
And then we go back to my house and we play couch co-op racing games, or just any kind of fun game. Maybe we even just play traditional, like a card game, just poker, just you and me, just the boys doing poker. So thank you for your service, Allan. I love you. I care for you. And back to you, Allan.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you for that special report. Oh my God. Honored. And yes, that is a big yes for me. And thank you. So that was my special report. Back to you, Kyle.
Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Kyle.
Back to you, Robbie.
We're
You're speechless.
let's take a look at the It's the Arts. Now it's time to It's the Arts. We've had a very interesting evening so far. I think that we've learned a lot about
Whoa, that's
friendship
beautiful.
and family and everything in between friends and family, and sometimes
It's the arts.
it's the arts.
What is that?
So this is the arts from Hambone Boussy. Hambone Boussy, friend of the show, has made a wonderful drawing here of a story that I told at one of the other streams that we do. Kyle, we do two streams throughout the week. This is stream.
Can I get water as well?
We do have water on. We do drink people. We do drink people. We give people drinks. We give people water.
Sorry.
I don't need any. We give people water, we give people drinks, and we also, in return, get it's the arts. And this is a story of about how I was trying to cook a pizza when I was playing Shadow Man Second Coming on the PlayStation 2 in my first apartment in Baltimore. And when I preheated the oven for the pizza, I cooked all of the cockroaches that were living in the oven, and they all caught fire and filled the room with smoke. So this is a representation of that from friend of the show, Hambone Boussy.
Thank you,
who
Hambone.
is just
Wow.
who is clearly inspired by that story, and I feel like it's universal.
That's someone who doesn't need a nickname. They already have one.
What's
They
that?
They already have a cool name.
What's that?
That's-
Hambone Boussy.
Oh, and Hambone has been one of our more prolific It's the Arts artists, and we are hats off to you, and may all of your ovens be clean and roach free from here on out. And that is a
Thank you,
blessing
Hambone.
from someone who believes in the power of the Almighty to you. Next up, we have, of course, from Ariana M. This is a lovely drawing of me and what I'm assuming is Allan. And
Let me have a look. Is that? I don't know. Who is that?
And this is of course coming
That's
from
you.
Ariana M. Ariana is friend of the show, has drawn us in our various in a visage.
I don't think that's me,
sort of
Robbie.
a Romanesque. You can
Robbie, I
imagine
think
these
that's.
two.
I don't think that's me. It's definitely you, but I don't know if that's me.
You can kind of imagine these two characters sort of having it out. Kind of like one person gets caught stealing from their from the jar with all the gold in it, and that person is a kind of an emperor or sort of a politician back in the old days of the Greeks and the Romans and the empires they're in or thereabouts. And so what you can imagine is that the person who catches the thief has a punishment in mind for the thief, and that punishment could be any number of things, sort of a drowning with rocks.
Robbie,
or
we don't have
perhaps
a Robbie.
kind of
There's no hype train. What are you doing?
Kind of a stick through through the perpetrator, and
Robbie,
that
there's
could
not.
be an
There's
issue.
no hype train. Why are you telling me
So
this?
no, I'm just saying, like, if you look at that image, then you can see that one person could be extremely angry at another person. Next up, we have, of course, a dog thief, and dog thief is giving us a nice representation
wow.
here
What?
of one of the stories that we told in a previous, on I believe that was EGI2 Stream 8. Dog thief, friend of the show, has done an illustration here, beautiful illustration of the boy who's with the long toenails and fingernails, who was able to stick his long toenails and fingernails into deep pits where there were various crab-like creatures who were stuck through and impaled, and it was a tough job, and it made and of course the toenails were extremely painful for him. But one of the things that the little boy with the toenails and the fingernails learned was how to roll up your fingernails at night so that they don't stick out your roof.
Okay. Is the cat? Is it a sexy cat?
I don't remember there
Normal
being.
cat.
I don't remember the cat.
Just a normal cat person. Cat people existed back
Oh,
then.
no, I
and
remember.
They
I
existed
remember.
They
Good job.
existed just besides humans in a normal kind of social environment.
I remember that.
Nothing weird, nothing creepy, nothing.
Log.
No log situation. Next up we have It's the Arts. It's Alex A.
It's
Alex
the
A. Has given us a two.
Wow,
So it's Gork.
that's me.
Oh, now I remember. No,
I can tell that's me.
Gork on the left, Allan on the right. Of course, Allan has in between what we used to do, which was a show on AdultSwim.com called Electronic Game Information, and now, which is a show that we do on Twitch.tv/EGI_2 called EGI2.
Unrelated.
Allan became obsessed with criminality and crime, and going out and going away and going out in the middle of the night, we assume, and fighting crime in the streets, out there, standing on rooftops, looking down at the city, feeling a great sense of purpose, a great sense of anger and frustration at the amount of crime that we have to deal with in our modern society. And here we have It's the Arts. Alex A. has created a
Beautiful. Thank you,
beautiful
Alex.
rendition of Alex A.'s vision of what Allan looks like as he goes out on these nightly missions. The end result of which we will one day catch up with him in the way that many of our actions that blacken our souls and toast our morals, morals are made of beans, and Allan's toasting them with actions.
I just think if the police aren't going to protect us, who will?
And then on the left there, you see there, Kyle, you have It's the Arts, the word Gork, in reference to such classic games as Gorky 17, which is, of course has 17 Gorks, and other games that include Gorks but don't have Gork in the name.
Gork.
Gorkamorka, for example, would be one of the games that has Gork in the Gorkamorka. It's a Warhammer 40K derived title from the Warhammer universe.
Gorka Morka.
Could you call me Gorka Morka?
No, because you're not a Warhammer 40K. First of all, I'll take one look at you. I know that you've never set foot in a games workshop.
Don't make assumptions. You
Don't
just met.
assume.
You got a USC shirt on.
It's just a shirt.
Next up, we have It's the Arts. It's thank you, beautiful rendition by
Thank
the way
you.
from Alex A.
Thank you, Alex.
It is Cupine 2003.
Hey, there's
and
my
this
candle
is a
holder.
shot of the candle holders.
They got the candle holder.
The candle holders that were received
Congratulations.
by a lucky viewer on EGI from EGI2 Stream 9, which again was the one with Ben and Cricket, just absolutely going nuts and touching every single thing that they could get their slimy mitts on. But we managed to get past the threshold of 1,000 followers and receive the mailing address of a lucky viewer, and that person got the sexual candle holder, which I think, now that sexual candle holder is gone, is the reason that we don't have sex anymore.
What do you mean we don't have sex?
That we don't have to worry about it anymore on the show.
We never had to worry.
We had to worry about it because it was like a ritual, like one of those talismans that was drawing all these perverts here, and now we don't got to worry about them no more.
Okay. I'm glad you got it. I hope you like candles in it. I hope it brings you joy and pleasure, and I hope you're pleasured by it, by looking at it, and you burn the candles and we're
keep your business to yourself. Next up, we have it's Scott from the Pit, and of course this is Scott from the Pit. This is an interesting thing because Scott had called earlier in the show, and he had said that you'd been to his house, and it looks like you went to his house.
I don't think so. I don't think that's me.
That's clearly you.
Scott, I don't know about that.
What's confusing to
Maybe
me
don't
is
show that
Allan
anymore.
obviously is holding up one of his special reports there, and that looks, unless I'm mistaken, that could be the long-lost special report from Silent Hill Shattered Memories that we were supposed to receive tonight, but apparently Allan took his special report all the way back to the East Coast, back to the Rust Belt, gave the special report in Pittsburgh at Scott's house.
I don't think you should do that, Scott.
And then next to him, and this is the most confusing part to me, that's a line from, unless I'm mistaken, that's a line from Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks.
It's also fucking hysterical.
Don't.
Oh,
You
I
can
can't say that.
you can you can curse on
Just-
Twitch. You can
just-
do anything
you
on
can do
Twitch.
it.
You can show anything. You can say
you can do
anything.
anything you want.
There's
except
weird
on
stuff on-
EGI2
there's weird
where,
stuff on
it's
Twitch.
a family show. It's it's
Oh.
hashtag Cousins Night.
It is Cousins Night.
It's not use the dirty language to when you look at art. You don't use dirty language. It's just
Stop showing it.
You show esteem. You show.
I don't like this one. Sorry, Scott. Maybe a drawing, like a hand-drawn, like a sketch or a doodle.
I mean, that's you, Alan. I don't. If you don't like the way you're looking, change yourself.
Well, that's not.
Change yourself.
Mm.
And that's it. It's the. Oh no, we got two. Sorry, we got two. This is just in. This is breaking news. We do have some videos here from NCR. Let's take a look at those.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Quite curious. Oh,
Whoa.
And that's from Mel, also known as Vague Plague from
wow.
Texas.
That's really nice.
It's beautiful animation done of a prayer that we had said at the outset of EGI2 stream 8, which was of course a stream that was dedicated to stream 8, and then this is
my God.
Ryan from Rhode Island. Take it away, Ryan. Back to you, Ryan.
Bathing in a sea of static, ride the erratic list, games lingering by like an electric mist. Sipping on holy dew, enjoying EGI2, creating a hybrid heaven, fueled by Twitch streams, a golden sun fulfilling all your niche dreams. Robbie and Allan, and the battle engine Aquila's Talon, clutching your heart as you enjoy. It's the art.
Wow.
And we got, I believe we have another one from Ryan. We did. Ryan sent us several to choose from, so we did a quick selection of two.
My God.
Wow.
Oh wow. Oh my
And
God.
then this one, Ryan really takes it up a notch. I think you're gonna like what you see here.
When I wake a talking snake, softly sing sweet songs of fear, swelling, slithering, stinging in my ear. A jealous god is a fraud.
Oh my God.
Nothing but an oily devil. Welcome to the King Troll's level. I swing my sword and revel. Rise, Troll Army, rise. We shall storm the Oil Kingdom, and I will crush the Oil Elemental with my bare fist. I am so sick of oily, sexy stuff. I've had enough. Infidelity is not my melody. I will make you die alone.
Oh my God.
And make the whole world as dry as a bone. I am the King Troll.
So what Ryan there was referring to is that in a previous episode we had a story where there was a eunuch that lived in a castle, and he had to go and get like some oil from this kind of like an elemental
An
is
oil
like a spirit.
elemental.
And then that person, and then that spirit. Anyway, people just went crazy on him, and he got taken to a place where giants
It was
were
a
having their way
hypersexual.
with
It was
him.
a hypersexual story.
Yeah, it was. He had regrown all sorts of stuff, and it's purely by chance that all these stories end up. A lot of the stories, not all of them, but many of the stories do end up having some kind of let's say a sexual element to it. And that is that's just an accident of history, because as you look back in the various texts and the things that we look at as sort of the binding written records and inspirations for the societies that we live in, you do find that there's people had a lot of time on their hands, just simply living their lives, trying not to die from simple diseases and little cuts, tiny cuts.
There's nothing wrong.
And
There's nothing. It's completely natural and
so
normal.
a lot of times they drift off, I would assume, into some fairly.
We have interesting fans.
So we do have. We got a few minutes here. Let's do the list. Huh? Oh, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll come back and we'll do the list. We're back here. It's EGI2's Cousins Night. Hashtag Cousins Night. Kyle the Hawk Mizono is here. cousin Ribby Roll is in here for EGI2 hashtag Cousins Night. Buggo and let's just say Jimmy the Hitman is over there on the computer that's James, the producer. We're gonna call him Jimmy the Hitman. And I noticed somebody in the chat was saying that we didn't get their art shown tonight. And if you send us art and we have not shown it, then as long as we'll send you something if we don't think it's for whatever reason it's appropriate. But I don't think I don't think we've tagged anything as being inappropriate. So just resend anything that if you feel like we haven't shown your work, especially if we hadn't shown your work before, because we do want to get as much of that stuff up on the screen as possible, because we do love it's the arts, it's the soul, it's one of the various there's twin souls, like the twin snakes. It's the twin snake. It's one of the snakes of the show. One of the snakes is the video game news reviews that you rely on, and the other one is the people that watch the show and bring us the reason to keep going here live on twitch.tv/EDI2. So let's get without a single second left to say another thing. Let's say it's the list. Now, cousin Kyle the Hawk Mazzoto, the list is of course it's a list of video games. It's a list of video games that I've been thinking about for the last week, and then I just sort of say the list out, and sort of it's what you choose a topic, and then list the video games that are part of that topic.
Classic list.
So it's a classic list.
Classic list.
This is a list of Dreamcast games with canceled sequels. This is inspired by, of course, the Dreamcast game Slave Zero, which became Slave Zero X, which then also begat Slave Zero X.
Big list. It's a really big list tonight.
Episode Enyo.
Episode Enyo.
So if you can imagine that there's other Dreamcast games that might also have had sequels or prequels or reimaginings or a whole reboot of a thing of the original concept, then that's on the list. So, caller, you're on the air. It's with Dreamcast games with canceled sequels. It's the list. What are your thoughts? Who are you? Where are you calling from? What's on the list?
Well, back to you, Robbie, and back to you, Cuzzy Kyle, and back to you, Allan. It is his old friend of the show, friend of the chat, Scott from Pittsburgh.
Okay. What's on the list?
And I didn't have much to put on the list today, but one thing I wanted to mention that should go on the list, that should go on any list, as anyone knows, is I think I wanted to say a happy birthday to Luke, the Luke man, from friend of the show, Scott from Pittsburgh.
Great. Happy birthday
to Luke
Taylor.
I don't know why.
Luke the Luke Man Taylor from the Luke Man, from Scott from the Pit. Happy birthday to Luke Man. I didn't realize it was his birthday today.
I noticed it is on the list.
God,
Robbie?
well, I was so taken with the cousins and the various and the list that I forgot to say happy birthday to Luke. So we got to make sure that we say happy birthday to Luke. Thank you for your call, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
From the Pit. And got another caller
Thank
on
you all,
right now.
and have a wonderful night.
You too. Let's take the call right now. Caller, what's on the list? Caller, who are you? Where are you coming from? What's on the list? Well, I can tell you two games on the list. Blue Stinger is on the list. If you're classic Blue Stinger Dreamcast third-person shooter with a heart of gold, but just couldn't stand out from the crowd and couldn't sell enough units, or maybe the Dreamcast couldn't sell enough units as a system to get out the gate with a sequel, Blue Stinger 2. We did see screenshots of Blue Stinger 2 in the official Dreamcast magazine way back in the year 2000, but unfortunately, we never got to see the actual thing on a disc, on the shelf, in front of you, when you go to the store looking for Blue Stinger 2 on the Dreamcast. Blue Stinger is a Dreamcast game with a canceled sequel. It's on the list, Allan.
But, okay, so it's Dreamcast games that had a plan there was a sequel planned.
With a planned sequel that
sequel
never came out.
Sequel was canceled.
Okay, I have a guess.
Okay, go ahead.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye is not on the list. GoldenEye is, of course, a Nintendo 64 game, so it's not a Dreamcast game, so strike that from the list. Second of all, there were several sequels to GoldenEye, including a remake of GoldenEye 007 that was on the Nintendo Wii, also not a Dreamcast. Okay, so go ahead. Let's try it. One for. Let's maybe we can get 1 for 2.
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk is not on the list. It had 2. Tony Hawk 1 was on the Dreamcast, and Tony Hawk 2 was on the Dreamcast. So Tony Hawk, I guess Tony Hawk 3 technically was not on a Dreamcast. It was on the PlayStation 2, so it's not on the list. Caller, we have a caller coming in right now. Caller, you're on the air. Who is it? Who are you? Where are you calling from? What's on the list?
Hello, Robbie. This is Dominic from PA.
Dominic from PA. Dominic, what part of PA are you calling from?
Don't ducks.
Currently in Kutztown, but I'm from Reading.
Reading, PA, Kirktown, PA, all great towns. It's a beautiful state. Rolling hills, mountains, not Shenandoahs. What are the other ones? Poconos. It's the Poconos.
Yeah. We got a little bit of the Appalachian as well.
Absolutely. What's on the list?
So I saw, some person in the chat mentioned something that I wanted to say. So I don't know if you would consider Shenmue, considering that the third one was just like a crowd-funded thing after the sequels never came about.
But was it planned?
And that story.
So
that story has never.
What I would say
been able to finish.
We haven't finished the Shenmue story. We did get Shenmue 3. There's always still a chance that we'll get a Shenmue 4. But the question was, Shenmue came out on the Dreamcast? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Shenmue 2, although it didn't come out on the United States Dreamcast, it did not officially come out. It did come out in PAL regions and in Japan.
Yeah, and then
so
I
unfortunately,
guess,
it's not on the list.
They got a PS4 port.
But there was also an Xbox. There was also the Xbox port of Shenmue 2 that actually contained a separate disc that was all the cutscenes from the first Shenmue made into Shenmue the movie.
Oh.
So it's not on the list.
Actually, I know what you're talking about.
But I can tell you what is on the list. Echo the Dolphin, because there was a sequel planned for Echo the Dolphin on the Sega Dreamcast called Echo 2 Sentinels of the Universe.
I have another guess.
Okay.
Hanme Busi?
Thank you, Kyle.
What did you just say?
I think she's saying Hambone Boosie.
Hambone Boosie?
I think.
Are you saying Hayabusa?
I think Kyle said Hambone Boosie.
I think Kyle said I think Kyle was trying to say Hayabusa as in Ryo Hayabusa from the Ninja Gaiden series. Ryo Hayabusa, which of course never showed up on the Sega.
Goofballs.
Good lord.
Goofballs.
Never showed up on the Sega Dreamcast, and therefore is not on the list. But it was a good chance. You want to try 1 for 2? Or maybe 1 for 4? Do it. Caller, stand on the line here because I think that we're going to be able to. This is my cousin. We share the same 99.9% of the same genetic material, and therefore I believe that somewhere deep inside of that head of hers, that we're going to find something that's on the list.
I have faith in your cousin Kyle.
This is Dominic from PA. Epoch Moreno. She just strung together 2 words that she heard previous on the show. Now she's going absolutely crackers over it. So thank you for your call, Dominic from PA. We got another call waiting for us and of course, Epoch is a period of time that we've spoken about, and Moreno is a little boy with brown hair. Morena is a little girl with brown hair, but is also the party of the current sitting president, very likely the next president of the country Mexico. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2. What's on the list?
I heard that they were about to come out with some Typing of the Dead sequels.
Typing of the Dead. What I want to know is Typing of the Dead is essentially a sequel to House of the Dead 2, which was on, and therefore, Typing of the Dead did come out.
But I heard that they were going to come out with Typing Taxi 2. I heard that was going to come out, but it was canceled.
Typing Taxi 2?
Yep, like Crazy Taxi, but they're going to make a typing version of it. I also heard that they were going to come up with Typing Cop 2, which is Virtual Cop 2.
Well, didn't they come out with it? Didn't they come out with a Virtual Cop typing game? Am I crazy?
I don't know.
Am I gone crackers?
Robbie, I think it's
I heard they were also going to come out with Typing Stone 2, which is Power Stone 2. But
Absolutely
with
not.
Robbie,
this
it's a
caller's
prank.
Having a great time.
Hang up on him.
This is the list.
Hang up on him. Hang up on him.
I'm surrounded by absolute psychopaths.
Do not prank.
We got
It is not
13
funny.
minutes of the
It
show
is not
left.
funny
We
to
gotta
do
get-
that.
we've
Do
only
not do
got
it.
3 things on the list, which is Blue Stinger, Echo 2, and
Hello?
caller, you're on the air with EGI2. It's the list. Who are you? Where are you calling from? Dreamcast games that with canceled sequels. What's on the list?
Hi, my name's Pam. I'm from Denver, and Shinryo 2. Is that on the list?
Which one?
Shinryo 2.
Shinryo?
I don't know if I'm saying
Shinryo or Shenryo?
Shinryo? I don't know. You probably know better than me. I'm looking.
Is
I'm
this
looking
part of
this
this?
up on Wikipedia.
Shenryo? No, is Shenryo? Chat might have some thoughts about this. I don't think that Shenryo. Shenryo, is this the Wanderer? The Wanderer? The guy that the big hat guy?
Are you pranking?
Shiren?
I don't know. It says it's a vertical scrolling shooter.
Vertical scrolling. Oh, Shinryo. Yeah. Oh, is that on the list? Did it came? Okay, so
I don't know.
the first Shenryo game was a Saturn game, yeah?
It was a what game?
Is the first Shenryo game? Because I think that we're onto something here. I believe that is a Saturn game.
Okay.
The first one.
Oh,
But
yeah.
so if Shenryo
Yeah.
2 would have come out on the Dreamcast, though, if this is the game that I am thinking of, what am I thinking of? If this is the game that I'm thinking of, then that game couldn't be on the list because it is a sequel to a Saturn game, not a Dreamcast game. Even if the Dreamcast game, and I'll give you an example of another game like that, which is Chakan. Chakan. Chakan on the Sega Genesis was supposed to get a Dreamcast sequel, but it got canceled with somewhere's in the development, and therefore can't be. If Chakan had come out and then they made a third Chakan game, 1, 2, 3 Chakan, then that would be on the list. Or they hadn't built the third game. They canceled it the way they canceled Blue Stinger and the sequel to Mach-N X. Mach-N X is on the list, believe it or not. Pam from Denver.
Wow.
What do you thought about that?
Crazy.
Mach-N X is, of course, a first-person slash 'em up. A lot of people. I think the second one was supposed to be something Megami.
Yeah. I'm not sure. You're the expert here.
Visk in the chat says Armada on Dreamcast got a canceled sequel. Armada is on the list. Armada, of course, was the top-down spin around with your flying saucer in the outer space, shoot 'em up, shoot the asteroids, shoot the alien motherships.
I have another guess.
Ooh, great.
Okay.
Slave X Zero.
Slave X. I don't even know.
Enyo.
Enyo
Slave Zero.
Robbie, check her
Enyo.
bag. I think she took an edible.
Slave Zero is not on the list because there was no planned Slave Zero sequel on the second Dreamcast that we know of at this time. Slave Zero X is a prequel that came out many years later, not on the Dreamcast, but on multiple systems. That's what makes it on the list. That's what makes it not on the list. Chakan Forever Man never came out on the Dreamcast, therefore it's not on the list.
This is a hard list, Robbie.
This is a hard list, and that's why I'm trying to walk everybody through the list. The list is set in stone. These games can't. You can't just drop games onto the list. Gorka Morka?
You're right. Yeah,
Gorka Morka, not on the list. Planned for the Dreamcast, but did not come out, not on the list, because if it had come out and they had planned a sequel, Gorka Morka would have been on the list. If there had been a Gorka Morka 2, Gorka Morka, there ain't.
Hanmon Busi?
Hanmon Busi is a person that made a drawing, a beautiful.
It's a fan.
Is a fan who made a beautiful drawing of.
No, that's Ryan.
Made a beautiful drawing of cockroaches burning in an oven.
Robbie, I think the call's coming from inside the studio.
Pam, what are your thoughts
Prank call.
on the list? You
Kyle's
got a second?
pranking
You want to go for 1 for 2?
Oh man, I don't. Wikipedia says Dear Avenger 3D. Is that on the list?
You're not supposed to look on
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
you can't look at Wikipedia. That doesn't
That's
count.
cheating.
You gotta go from the heart. Pam, I want to hear your heart. What does your heart say?
I want to participate, but I don't know video games very well.
Thank you for your call. Are you safe? I want to know, Denver, it's cold right now. Are you safe? Are you inside? Is it warm?
Yeah, it's not too bad today. I'm inside and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam, for your call, and keep plugging away. Open your heart, and the list will enter the heart, and that's the list. And caller, you got another caller coming in. Caller, you're on the air with EDI2. Twitch.tv/EDI2 is the list. What are your thoughts?
Hey, it's Nathan Vegetable. I do have a game for the list.
Nathan Vegetable, Long Beach Nathan. We're doing nicknames. Long Beach. We got San Pedro, Torrance. What is it?
Veggie.
I don't think.
I have been called Veggie.
Nathan, hold on for a second. Clearly, vegetable's already in the name.
My veggies make sense.
Veggie sticks are really good.
Nathan, what's on the list? If there's one person I could count on in this mess.
Don't prank, Nathan. You pranked. You pranked.
You pranked us.
So I did call last time, and it was a little bit of a prank, but I promise this time that there is no prank here. I apologize, Allan, directly. But this game is System Shock 2 for the Dreamcast. It was going to be a console release. They never did it. It's only been on PC until the new System Shock. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
Nathan, there's one person I expected to pay attention to what the rules, what the parameters of the list are this week. These are Dreamcast games that got canceled sequels. So for System Shock, first of all, for System Shock 2 to be on the list, that means that System Shock 2 had to have come out on the Dreamcast, which it did not. Then there would have had to been a planned System Shock 3 that was planned for the same Dreamcast, but never came out. For System Shock 1 to be on the list, even though System Shock 2 got canceled, that means that System Shock 2 would have had to come out on the Dreamcast, which it did not. So
Okay, that was.
What do you?
I was having trouble following.
What's that, Nathan?
What? I was having trouble following. So there is the original game. So Supreme Snowboarding is a game that originally was on the Dreamcast. I think.
Nathan, are you looking at Wikipedia right now?
Nathan.
I may be. But
Nathan,
I don't want
I want you to throw that damn laptop, whatever you got, throw it out the window right now and tell me what's on the list from your heart. Because I know you got a heart.
Well, System Shock 2, I really wish it was on the list, but I know it's not. But my heart was there. I'm struggling to find where my heart ends up after that.
Well, it's not on the list. It's a good try, but thank you for your call. I just want to make sure that you're safe, that everyone around you is safe, that everybody in your family, all your cousins are safe that you brought to the show.
Yes, they are safe. I did make an effort. I have shown clips, but I don't have them here at this moment, and I apologize for that.
Nathan, thank you for your call. We're going to continue. We're gonna
back to you, Robbie.
You go, Nathan. Thank you for your call. You're on
cousin pick.
It's not System Shock 2. It's not on the list. What's on the list? It's Toe Jam. No. Toe Jam and Earl 3. A lot of people says Toe Jam and Earl 3 is on the list. It's not on the list. Toe Jam Earl 2 came out on the Sega Genesis, and as far as I know, unless there's some sort of Sega Genesis compilation with Toe Jam and Earl and Toe Jam and Earl Panic on Funkatron on it, some kind of a disc, some sort of a GD-ROM. Then Toe Jam and Earl, then that would be on the list.
But didn't they make one?
They made one what?
A new Toe Jam and Earl.
They made a new Toe Jam and Earl that was made by
former employees.
Adult Swim Games. Our former employers, Adult Swim Games, I believe, published the Toe Jam and Earl game, and that Toe Jam and Earl game was called Planet.
But why is it on the list?
It's not on the list, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to explain how some games are what's on the list and what is.
Robbie, this is a really hard list.
It is a hard list, and it's a short list, but I believe that there's a couple more games that we could possibly
first
get
time
to.
chatter. First time chatter. Iba Zamba Bandada said, "What is happening?"
I got here early.
today."
Iron Zombie
Robbie
God, we're
was.
on the list, and the list is Dreamcast games with canceled sequels. So not the sequels that got canceled, but the games that came out that were supposed to get the sequels.
How come there's no one coming from the piss anymore?
So Blue, because that was that happened single raid.
We didn't retain any of the piss.
So that
raid.
means
they all
Mach and
left.
X.
Hey, Robbie.
Mach and X is on the list because it had a planned sequel that never
Hello?
came out, and that it
Robbie,
was
there's a
supposed to come
caller.
out on the PlayStation 2, and that got canceled as well. So it's a double canceled.
There's a call
on the list.
Robbie, there's a call.
Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from? And what's on the list?
This is Dominic from PA again. I also had funny video game news, but I missed the opportunity to call.
This is the
during that
list. I'm so sorry.
No, we can do funny video game news.
No, Robbie, rules are rules.
Dominic,
this is the
make
list.
it
I can call back on a different day. This is a pretty finite list, though.
This is
I think
this is a small list, so we can take a second for some funny video game news. If you can bring us the funny video game news, maybe you can bring some joy back to the situation. Put the light back on our hearts. We're running out of time on the stream. Take it away, Dominic from PA. Funny video game news.
Well, I would like to preface with a question. Does it have to be a newsmaker, or can it just be like any famous person in the past?
I believe that any famous person in the past counts as a newsmaker.
Okay.
As long as there's a transparent background PNG of them on Google Images.
So, Russian filmmaker Andrei Tarkovsky, I heard, was playing Outer Wilds. And thus Outer Wilds is in the news because Andrei Tarkovsky is playing it. And he's like, this reminds me of a certain Stanley Kubrick film that I have seen that I don't very like much. I think it's very sterile and lacks humidity, and I'm going to stop playing this game. And after he stopped playing it, he bought Stalker 2 NFT.
So wait.
Because his film Stalker inspired the Stalker video game franchise.
Oh, I know that. But what I want to know is Outer Wilds in the news or is Stalker 2 in the news?
Outer Wilds is in the news because Andrei Tarkovsky was comparing it to Stanley Kubrick's 2001, which he had disdain for.
But what's he
and he
say
was like,
about?
I'm gonna go do something better than play the Outer Wilds. And what
That's
he
all he
ended
says?
up doing was buying a Stalker 2 NFT.
Wait, so he says I'm sick of playing this game because it
I'm
reminds me of
sick of
2001.
playing Outer Wilds. I'm sick of playing Outer Wilds. I'm gonna go buy some NFTs. Andrei Tarkovsky.
For Stalker 2.
That's what he said.
Stalker 2 NFTs.
Yeah. Stalker 2 NFTs.
Stalker 2.
Tarkovsky.
Tarkovsky said this. Filmmaker.
Weren't they selling Stalker 2 NFTs whenever that game was coming out a couple years ago? Wasn't that a big
Well,
thing?
Stalker 2 hasn't come out, but Outer Wilds has.
So, but Outer Wilds.
Oh, Stalker 2's not out yet? Well, aren't they doing NFTs for it? I think they are, aren't they?
The point is that Tarkovsky, Solaris,
Is buying NFTs.
Stalker, what have you, is saying something about Outer Wilds, which he doesn't like because the time loop thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he also doesn't like the vacuum of space. He doesn't like the whole space simulation thing. He thinks it lacks humanity. He thinks it's cold. And he would rather buy a Stalker 2 NFT.
That's funny.
Good job. That's awesome. I get it. I do get it, actually. Yes.
Thank you, Robbie.
I get it. That's pretty fun. That is really funny. Now that I get it, it's actually really funny.
Thank you, Allan.
That's really good. Thank you for that funny video game. This was the list.
Yeah, I know.
So next time.
Sorry, I had to throw it off, but I felt like the train might have been running out of steam.
I think Robbie's spinning.
But if we can get that hype train going again.
Dominic from PA, thank you for that.
Maybe we
We
can
wrapped
get
up the
steam back
show
in this
with
train.
a perfect example of what brings people to the show, what people want to see from the show, what brings people back, the soul of the show. And we have one more game on the list that I want to make sure we get to.
Age of Empires 2.
Oh, I have another
See?
guess.
That's the problem, because the first Age of Empires did not come out of the Dreamcast.
Well, I'm at a loss.
Thank you for your call.
I appreciate you listening to the video game news, and I hope you find your last entry in the list.
Was Heavy Metal FAKK2? Or FAKK? Because the 2 got canceled. K. 2 Ks. No.
Is there something else on the list?
That was the list.
Oh, because I had another guess. Quantum Leap.
Thank you for your call, Kyle the Hawk Mazzono. Let's give it up for Kyle the Hawk Mazzono. Let's give it up for Allan on the street, James on the production table. And we have we've had a wonderful evening learning all about Kyle and all of the various things that she brings to the family, shirts.
Robbie, I want to replace Kyle as your cousin on the show.
Muggo.
Nicknames for people that don't seem to take their own, that somewhat tone deaf, I would say. Nicknames for people.
Why?
A refusal to understand the various parameters of the list, and to simply draw from a well of previous, just a summary of things that had happened to her throughout the day, and just say random strings of words and try to get those on the list, which has a very. And this is what she brings to the family, but family, blood is thicker than water, family is bond, and we do love you, Kyle, and we can't wait to see you for Christmas.
I want to come to Christmas too.
And I guess All Saints Day?
President's Day?
We'll see you We'll see you guys on Wednesday for 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews, when we will be reviewing 2 games that fall. What are you doing? That fall within the 6 to 7 out of 10 spectrum, and then on Stream 11 we'll be back next Monday with EGI2 Stream 11. Don't miss it. Allan?
I'm so honored to be with you. Spend more
And
time
hope maybe
with you.
Allan's cousin will finally show up, and we could have a bit of fun with that. Good night, everybody.